Well, as we take a look at our first traffic report, we do have a problem up in the Rivergate area, 65 northbound at Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. An accident reported there. Also, Fessler's Lane at Elm Hill Pike, we've got a crash in Antioch, Harding Place at Metroplex Drive. A wreck just reported there. And finally, the left shoulder block due to an accident in Laverne, 24 westbound, right after Old Hickory Boulevard at exit 62. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome into another edition of the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another day. Happy to have you with us this Wednesday, May 28, 2025. Either my hearing is going, either I'm going, well, I'm probably going deaf. We'll figure it out. It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock. Thank you for being with us on this Wednesday edition. We're on a variety of platforms for your listening and viewing enjoyment. You can find us on all manner of apps, as they call them, applications, if you will. Things like Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, and the like. We have our own, as a matter of fact. You're invited to download that. Go to your app store and type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN and take us wherever you want to go. On our app, you can also find us on those aforementioned apps. You can find us on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. For you masochists in the listening audience that want a dose of Matt Murphy's face and Matt Murphy's shirt. Hello.
Quite a shirt.
You like this, do you?
Well, it's a shirt. It's a statement.
That's true. If I listened to the first thing you said, there was no like in there. You said it's quite a shirt.
I can't make out what it is from my vantage point in the dungeon back here.
Mm-hmm.
What is that design about?
It is a Hawaiian shirt. There's a
It's like a beach scene.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Is that what that is?
Sunset, maybe.
There's a sailboat here at the bottom.
Okay.
You know. Oh yeah. There's a
lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot of colors in this shirt.
Busy.
It is a summer-esque design, and after all, we've had Memorial Day, the unofficial start of summer.
That's true.
The official start of summer is the 21st, I think.
That
Usually
sounds
around
right.
there, yeah.
But the weather people tell you that it starts June 1st because they don't believe in like actual summer. They believe in meteorological summer.
Well, and that's when hurricane season begins, June 1st.
June 1.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah. And you guys in the newsroom always report on these stories there, Jay Harper. By the way, Jay Harper in for Ken Weaver. Never fear. Ken is on vacation.
He's coming back. Everybody's like, where's Ken? Where's Ken? Which I get. Everybody loves Ken. I love Ken. We all love Ken. But Ken will return.
There's a tone.
Where's Ken?
There's a tone in Jay's voice, and I don't think, where's Ken? Where's Ken? Everybody loves Ken.
Everybody loves
Okay, I get it.
Yes.
How about a little Harper love every once in a while?
That's not entirely necessary.
Y'all
but
give Jay a little
people
Harper on the
panic.
super text line.
It's amazing. People panic like, folks can't get a day off, or time off. Ken, gosh, we all know that the grind of coming in here and doing those news stories, he needs a break.
He needs a little break. Now, while you're talking about this, may I say that I guess it goes with the individual personality of the person that we're talking about. But Wilson used to get hell for taking time off, didn't he?
Yes.
Oh, big time.
Got hell for taking time off.
And he had a health issue that he was dealing with.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I get hell for taking time. I take a day off. I get hell for it. Dan Mandis takes a week off on a Disney cruise.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Dan, we hope you have a great time.
You deserve it, buddy.
Oh, Dan, get some R&R. Recharge those batteries, Dan. I take one day. It's like, when are you coming back to work? Boy, I wish I had Murphy's schedule.
Where's Murph? Yeah, the gold-breaking son of a...
So we say to heck with Weaver. No, I'm just kidding. He'll be back. I don't know when he'll be back, but he'll be
Monday.
back. Monday.
But then, see, I will be filling in for Joan Jones Monday, next week. So then I'll
Love
wait.
it.
Where's Joan? That's what I'll start hearing. She can take time off too, darn it.
The Harper
man.
whiny voice owns
Pretty
me.
good. Yeah.
Move my cheese. Well, we did this to ourselves, fellas, and I'll tell you why. As an industry, we do this to ourselves because we are a forward-facing business, right? Mm-hmm. What we do is right there in front. Has to be because we're on the radio every day. And we choose to, for some reason, decide to be really, really secretive about certain things, especially when there are changes going on. And I understand that some of those changes are negative. But I feel like if we were a little more upfront with some of that maybe people wouldn't freak out so much when people go on vacation.
I think people just like to freak out.
That's true. People like things the way they like them.
That's true. I do.
I do too. Yeah, why wouldn't you? So we'll try to present to you the best talk radio possible over the next 4 hours, and we hope you're able to listen for each moment of that time. It is our episode 818. 818 days together on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's day 129 of 1460.5 of Trump Part 2, also known as the 47th presidency of the United States of America, on this Wednesday, May 28th. A couple of guests to tell you about. Andy Ogles returns to the show, a triumphant return. Someone suggested, and I'm not necessarily against this, Weber, someone suggested that we play, the song by Peaches and Herb, Reunited?
Yeah.
And it feels so good.
Reunited, and it feels so good. As Andy comes in, would that make it uncomfortable?
A little bit, yeah.
Can I?
Well, hey, if you're comfortable wearing that shirt,
you got a point.
It ain't going to be. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Harper is salty today.
No,
he goes after Weaver.
Oh, gosh.
Destroys Joan Jones.
I didn't. Now, come on.
And then now he's coming after me.
No,
Watch out. Weber, you're next. You got to be in the crosshairs at some point.
Man, when did you become mainstream media and twist things around?
Fake news.
Gosh.
I know that.
I thought I could trust you, man.
I know that Andy was on with, EG was sitting in for Chris. There's another one, by the way. Speaking of people who get to take time off. Oh, Chris, we just hope that you're able to spend some time with the children. Your wife and children deserve it. Matt takes one day off, and I get screamed at. Mm-hmm. One day. I don't know. I'm in good company, though, because I remind myself that Brian used to get hell for taking time off, too. That's right. So I feel like I'm in a good little corner over there. It's just a matter of personality types. But Andy will be with us at 3:35 this afternoon. Obviously, Andy, there is a fallout for what Mayor Freddie O'Connell had to say about ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol operating in Davidson County. And that fallout includes, what are you saying to the Metro Nashville Police Department, Freddie? Andy wants to know. The citizens of Davidson County want to know, and we'll talk to Andy about that. We'll talk to him about congressional investigations. We will perhaps talk to him about where we go from here in terms of those who have been here for a long, long time and what the punishments of individuals who have come to the United States of America illegally ought to be. We will talk to Andy about the big, beautiful bill which needs to be repaired in the United States Senate, and I believe that Andy would agree with us on that. Hey, we haven't talked to him since I've been on in the afternoons, right?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so either. I have not spoken to Andy since before all of that crap went down with the FBI going after him with his phone. And, would it be wrong for me to ask him, how's the cell phone going?
You could do it. Maybe wait till the end of the interview.
Kind of a joking,
throw that in.
Just kind of a little joke and a little question about the cell phone. Anyway, that's at 3:35. At 5:05 today, we have our normal visit with Cameron Smith, and he'll swing in. But we will also have a visit with country music superstar John Rich. He will be on our Zoom channel, so if you're watching on Talk TV, you'll be able to see John. I don't know where he is today, but he said he could do it via Zoom. Talking about an issue that I was vaguely aware of, but I admit that I only did a deep dive on this after watching John's video, and I'm thankful that John put the video out. It involves Chetum County, a beautiful, beautiful county, relatively lower population than some of the other surrounding communities. Well, Chetum County has a problem, and that problem is TVA. Well, the Tennessee Valley Authority is a very interesting entity. One that I've not dived into since I have been in Tennessee. Tennessee Valley Authority is a wholly owned energy provider, and it is owned by the government of the United States of America. It was created by the government of the United States of America, and the sole decision maker ultimately is the President of the United States, because he has sole appointment authority on the board of directors. And if I wasn't reading what I saw earlier today incorrectly, we have 5 vacancies on that board. 5 vacancies on that board right now. I was looking at this earlier today. And obviously we saw the resignation of the former CEO of the TVA, which occurred earlier this year. The resignation was announced in January of Jeff, what's his name? Don Mole is the new TVA CEO. The former CEO was Jeff. Golly, why can't I remember his name now? It's a weird one. It's like Ivash or Eyelash. Y'all wouldn't know what his name is. Y'all probably telling me right now. Anyway, the salaries are pretty dramatic for the CEO of the TVA. And Jeff Lyash is his name, Lyash. Tennessee Valley Authority CEO Jeff Lyash took home about $10.5 million last year, which is a lot more than the President of the United States of America. But he did not get along with Donald Trump and Donald Trump's vision for energy production in the United States. And so he announced his resignation about a week after Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 47th president of the U.S. Toward that end, a new appointment was made by the board, but it's my belief, if my information is correct that I looked up earlier today, you got the chairman of the board, William Rennick. You've got Beth Greer, who's on the board, Robert Klein, who's on the board, and Adam Wade White. And there are 5 vacancies currently on the TVA board. I don't know why those vacancies exist, I admit. But all that to say that there's a conversation going on about their seizure of almost 300 acres of property in Chetum County and the decision on the part of the TVA to put a methane gas-powered plant on that property. With so many schools around that property, with the concept of eminent domain being very real to many of the residents who just want to keep their property as they have had it for many of them for decades, generational property for some of them. Well, they're now being told that most of it's already been seized by TVA, and now they're utilizing that for the purpose of creating a power plant, a methane power plant. I would suggest that this is an effort to get us off fossil fuel-based energy production by TVA. Although methane gas is in and of itself an earth-based fuel. That said, we'll talk to John about it and his effort to make Donald Trump more aware of what's going on to the citizens of Chetum County, and we will do that at 5:05 this afternoon. So I want to start here because I believe it is so important that we, in media settings where we more directly communicate with the viewing or listening audience, that we remain steadfast in our reporting and dedicated to our reporting on what happened between January 2021 and January 2025 in the United States of America, more specifically in the White House of the United States of America. I have a sincere question for those of you listening. I have 5 names, and I want you to tell me if you've ever heard of any of these people. You ready? Bruce Reed. Does that name ring a bell? Bruce Reed. Mike Donnellan. Mike Donnellan. Does that name ring a bell? Steve Raschetti. Anybody? Anybody? I know it sounds like an Italian dish. Steve, I'd like some Raschetti, please, with a little sprinkle of pepper.
Extra Parmesan.
Extra parm, of course. Steve Raschetti. Anybody? How about Annie Tomaschini. Another Italian dish. Annie Tomasini. Tomasini is probably the preferred pronunciation there. I've never heard of this person. And then finally, Ron Klain. So many of you might have heard of Ron Klain. We are told in the book by Jake Tapper, Original Sin, that has been promoted endlessly on leftist media networks, ABC and CBS and NBC and MSNBC. And, of course, you can't throw a rock at #NeverCNN and not hit Tapper, this Alex Thompson fella who co-wrote the book with him. They are all over this book, Original Sin. And the Original Sin is, I don't know what the Original Sin is supposed to be. I've not read the book. I don't plan on buying the book. I've read excerpts of the book, and I know enough about the book to know this, that every reporter reading this book, every reporter reporting on this book, and the people that wrote the book knew this information at the time that all of this was supposedly happening, and they refused to tell the American people what was going on. Those 5 names that I just read you, Bruce Reed, Mike Donnellan, Annie Tominski, Steve Ricchetti, and Ron Klain are reportedly the 5 individuals who were running the White House from January 2021 to January 2025. Those were the individuals that were known as the Politburo. Now, the Politburo is a term typically reserved for communist nations regarding the group of senior advisors that advise the totalitarian leader of the Communist Party of said nation. These are the 5 people, along with Dr. Jill Biden and Hunter Biden, who were a part of Joe Biden's inner circle making the decisions for the presidency of the United States of America. Now, did you vote for Bruce Reed? Did you vote for Mike Donnellan? Did you vote for Steve Ricchetti? Did you vote for any of these people? Of course you did not. Worse still, it would be one thing if the president leaned on or relied too much on cabinet members who at very least were confirmed by sitting United States senators. That's not the case here either. None of these people were approved by the Senate. None of these people were appointed by anybody. I defy you to tell me a greater constitutional crisis than what went on during the 46th presidency of the United States of America. Watergate does not hold a candle to this. It doesn't. Members of the White House, people within the United States cabinet, people within the Democrat Party, and members of the mainstream media all covered up the mental infirmity of the President of the United States of America. This man should never have been president. And after becoming president and seeing how mentally frail and infirm he had become, the 25th Amendment should have clearly been invoked. And for better or worse, Kamala Harris should have been the president of the United States of America. And the mainstream media covered it up. And now they want to move on. They don't want to talk about it anymore because they were a part of the conspiracy. Well, we're going to talk about it on this show. And we need to talk about it as a nation to make sure it never happens again. It's 24 after the hour, just getting warmed up. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Cabinet Solutions. Tony Spain with Cabinet Solutions is busy as can be, helping people find solutions for any and all of your cabinet needs for any room in your home, whether it's a bathroom, maybe it's a dressing area, maybe it's a closet area, perhaps it's your kitchen. These are places where you see a lot of cabinets. Maybe the laundry room, for example. You see a lot of cabinets there, too. Whether you're on a budget and you're looking for a non-custom-made cabinet that looks custom-made, or perhaps you're ready to spend a little money and get those custom-made cabinets done, well, you don't have to spend a lot of money, just a little money at Cabinet Solutions. They have a wide range of kitchen cabinetry, bathroom, and even bedroom for things that you need in the bedroom. From semi-custom to high-end custom cabinetry, all you need to do is go to mycabinetsolution.com for more info. That's mycabinetsolution.com. And send them you'll go there to the contact page. You'll contact Tony. He'll get right back to you and tell him that Matt Murphy sent you to mycabinetsolution.com and My Cabinet Solutions in Hendersonville. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is my one-stop shop for all things pain when it comes to my body. Whether it's my back, I've got lower back issues that will be with me, well, until the end of my time on this earth. But I don't have to worry about the pain that results from those, because when I do get pain flare-ups due to some of my lower back issues, I go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I go to see Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley. They're convenient to me, right in Mount Juliet. Would love to talk with you. Wherever you might be, it is worth the drive to the Wellness Institute. I made the switch to the Wellness Institute of Nashville for a reason, because I believed in Dr. Mitchell. I believed in the technology that he had at his fingertips and the expert examination that he gives and the attention to detail that he will give each individual that makes the call to the Wellness Institute. Painisbad.com is the website to find out more. That's painisbad.com, or give a call, 615-246-5009. Ask them about their 47% off deal on their spinal decompression that's going on all year long in honor of our 47th President of the United States. It's 615-246-5009 for the Wellness Institute of Nashville.
Are sanctions against Russia on the table for President Trump in negotiations on the Ukraine war? Those charged in a Texas boating death now face deportation, and a Hollywood acting and directing superstar now facing a lawsuit. We'll have those stories coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
My favorite part of the day, it's one of my favorite. It's not my favorite part of the day, but it's one of my favorite parts of the day, is going over to Talk TV and seeing what the title of today's episode is.
Yeah.
We don't focus on this enough, or at least I don't focus on this enough. I think I need to spend a moment every day and allow you to announce what the title of today's episode of our Talk Television side of things would be. Like, today's episode is entitled,
He Only Looks Like He's on Island Time. Let's see, I got to bring it up. It's all business on this Murphy Show.
That's what it is. I do look like I'm on island time. Yeah. You can find us over at Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. When you do like, subscribe, or maybe just give us the old thumbs up. Let me tell you, there are wild parties that go on in that chat room on a daily basis. I would not want to be over there with a Mai Tai in my hand. But man, oh man, there's a party going on. And you can be a part of it by going over to Talk TV, and you can see my Wild Island shirt as well. 615-737-9986. We will get back into this absolute. I mean, those that knew over the course of the Biden presidency chose not to tell us how bad it had gotten. And they need to be held to account. You should not be learning the names of the people making the decisions on the part of or for the President of the United States of America. Say what you will about Donald Trump, but there's no doubt that there's only one individual making the decisions in the White House today, and that is Donald J. We shall continue this discussion and perhaps ask Representative Andy Ogles the question coming up in a moment. The continued fallout based on the commentary by Representative Afton Ben, Freddie O'Connell, and several others, and the ensuing investigation as to exactly what Freddie has ordered his Metro Nashville Police Department to do as a result of ICE's presence in our community. We'll talk to Representative Andy Ogles about that next on Super Talk.
Good afternoon, 31 minutes past the hour of 3 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Hang on for a weather forecast and a traffic report. President Trump continuing to express frustration with Russia and Ukraine after his deadline for them to come up with a ceasefire deal has expired. The president said that Russian President Vladimir Putin was playing with fire, but he would not specify what action he would take or when if the fighting in Ukraine continues. But the president says he's giving both sides another couple of weeks. ABC's Karen Travers with the latest.
President Trump again said he is, quote, disappointed by Russia's recent attacks on Ukraine. But when asked about the consequences for Russia if they don't move forward on a peace deal, he said he wouldn't answer. Pushed on what's preventing him from putting more sanctions on Russia, the president indicated he didn't want to take action that could put a peace deal in jeopardy.
Only the fact that if I think I'm close to getting a deal, I don't want to screw it up by doing that.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
In Texas, the family of an Air Force cadet candidate killed in a boating accident near Dallas over the weekend. They're planning the funeral for the young woman. Meanwhile, ABC's Jim Ryan says that 2 illegal aliens charged in her death face possible deportation.
Witnesses who saw a jet ski ride over the top of Ava Moore's kayak, killing the 18-year-old, snapped photos of the suspect and turned them over to police, who then published the picture.
We received more than 900 tips from the public, which helped us provide a quick resolution for the family.
The tips led to the arrest of Daihil and Alejandra Gonzalez and a man accused of helping her to flee from the scene. Joshua Johnson of ICE says the two had entered the country illegally, and now
both individuals will have to see an immigration judge who will decide whether they are removed back to Venezuela.
Now out west, actor Kevin Costner is being sued by a stunt performer from one of his movies. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
A stunt double on Kevin Costner's Horizon 2, an American saga.
I'm here with some others, trading horses mostly.
Claims she had to take part in an unscripted rape scene and was not given proper warning and that safety rules weren't followed. Devin Labella is suing Costner and the film's production company for sexual discrimination, sexual harassment, hostile work environment, emotional distress, and breach of contract. Her lawsuit saying the filing is meant to address failures at the highest levels of Hollywood production companies involving sexually explicit and violent scenes. Alex Stone, ABC News.
ABC has reached out to Costner's representatives but has yet to receive a response. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. They are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. As we continue to look at our traffic situation, that issue up north of town in the Rivergate area still being dealt with. That would be I-65 northbound at Vietnam Vets, a crash there. Also, we are getting a report that up in Montgomery County, this just coming across, 101st Airborne Division Parkway, westbound between Fort Campbell and Jordan Road. It is closed at the moment due to apparently a pretty serious accident. And also Fessler's Lane at Elm Hill Pike, a crash, and out in Laverne, the left shoulder's blocked, and part of the emergency vehicles are also sticking out in the roadway, so it's a slim pass there. 24 westbound after exit 62 at Old Hickory Boulevard. There was a crash there earlier. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here for Stoltz Co. So you're looking to improve the value of your property. You're thinking about building a structure on said property. Do not go the, quote, prefab route where they haul a structure onto your property and try to tie it down in some fashion. What you need Stoltz Co. You need Stoltz Co. building you a quality structure provided to you by Stoltz Co. Man, oh man, they're good at what they do. Stoltz Co. can provide those structures like pole barns. They can provide, a barn dominium. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. A garage space, an equestrian space, an event space. Really any place that you want for people to gather. Maybe it's a mother-in-law suite, a father-in-law suite. They can do it at Stoltz Co. They'll sit down with you and customize the design from Stoltz Co. StoltzCo.com is the place that you start. That's StoltzCo.com. And, oh, by the way, they do turnkey at Stoltz Co. now. That means that you just tell them the vision, tell them the dream for your barn dominium, your structure. They will take care of it, and they'll hand you the keys, and you are done. That's what they do for you at Stoltz Co. Go to STOLTZCO.com. That's StoltzCo.com, or call 615-622-5992, 622-5992 for Stoltz Co. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 3:40. Thank you for being with us on the Matt Murphy Radio Show this Wednesday edition, May 28th. Happy to have you along for the ride. Happy to have back with the program after a brief hiatus. Representative Andy Ogles joins us on the show via the Murphy Show hotline to talk about his efforts to find out exactly what Freddie O'Connell's doing over there in the mayor's office with regard to Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Tennessee Highway Patrol doing the job that the Tennessee people want them to do in rooting out the lawbreakers and sending them back to their countries of origin if necessary. Andy, thank you for being on with us. Good afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a crazy time in Nashville considering what the mayor's doing. But, you've got ICE agents literally doing their jobs in Nashville. And it's just breaking today. And we can send you some of this information. But the city of Nashville is literally posting and tracking ICE agents in Nashville and then publishing their names. And when you understand that these MS-13, Trinidad gangs, and all the other Sinaloa and all the other cartels that operate across the country, these aren't just gangs. These are more than criminal enterprises. These are like corporations, and they have advanced surveillance technology. And when you put that officer's name out there, you're putting it in harm's way. Now, Freddie, the mayor of Nashville, O'Connell, will say that, well, this is in the vein of transparency. But when you're putting law enforcement in harm's way because you're a woketivist mayor, enough is enough.
Well, Andy, I certainly, for one, I want to applaud you. Our agreements have been well documented. Maybe some of our disagreements have been overly highlighted, but I want to give thanks and credit where it is due, because I know I was asking the question, where are our representatives that want to step up and say, hold on a second. ICE here, they're not the bad guys. The Tennessee Highway Patrol, they're not the bad guys. And our state government gave the ability for local law enforcement agencies to better work with Immigration and Customs Enforcement because the people of Tennessee want to root out these criminal lawbreakers and getting them the hell out of our state. And I thank you for standing up and saying, hold on a second. Instead of aiding ICE, you're actively, it seems to me, working against ICE. And as you well know, Andy, as you've documented and as you talked about on Memorial Day, that's against the law.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but you were one of the first people to really start talking about this publicly, if not the first. And so now we've taken this. I'm taking this to the next level. Senator Blackburn's going to do the same thing in the Senate. So I've called for an investigation. The Homeland Security Committee, which I am on, and the Judiciary Committee will be conducting a joint investigation into the city of Nashville, Mayor O'Connell, and then, of course, following the money to see if any of that COVID money or any federal money that flowed to Nashville, they have somehow funneled it to illegals. And this should also be a notice to not only Nashville, but other woke mayors across the country. We can disagree on immigration policy, but you can't aid and abet illegals. And if you do so, it's a crime.
Well, and you've just posted this, and I encourage folks who are listening to go to Andy's X post at Rep Ogles on X, and it reads here, the information that you just discussed, publicly leaking the names of DHS and HSI officials working with Davidson County on immigration enforcement is posted on an official Nashville government website, fully accessible to the public. And as you just noted here today, Andy, I mean, MS-13 and any other gang-related activity that is in the community could easily get this information, and it is putting these officers at risk. I mean, is it too far to say that it seems that we have local officials who are doxing and outing Immigration and Customs Enforcement?
Well, you can see it for yourself. It's right there. I mean, and again, with the internet being what it is, you can take that individual's name and somewhere you're going to find a picture of that individual. And again, I'm going to tell you, and I'm on Homeland, I've seen the classified documentation or the classified information, the surveillance capabilities, and quite frankly, the military capabilities of some of these cartels are frightening, and they can and will deploy that against everyday citizens, obviously against rival gangs, but against law enforcement. And so this is a step too far. Obviously, I was already saying that the mayor had gone too far, but this right here literally, technically may not be criminal, but he's putting law enforcement in harm's way, and I'm going to do my part to try to stop it. I have already forwarded this information to the Judiciary Committee. I'll be working with them in the next couple of days to see if there's anything that we can't do to get the city of Nashville to stop, because in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, but he is putting law enforcement officers in harm's way. And I'll say this, anytime you have a woke mayor like Freddie O'Connell, who's making police the bad guy, not ICE, they're not the bad guys, but saying that by the way, the people that were being deported out of Nashville were murderers and rapists and drug traffickers and child traffickers. He's going to defend them. And when he's picking them over law enforcement, we've seen a 400% increase in attacks against law enforcement because of this type of reckless rhetoric coming from Mayor O'Connell. I've had enough. I'm going to fight back. MS-13 and Trinidad are in Tennessee. They are in Nashville. And if we don't get serious about this and have a zero-tolerance policy, we're going to wake up and we will have lost parts of our city.
Representative Andy Ogles with us this afternoon discussing his effort to find out exactly what type of communication has been going on between the mayor of the city of Nashville and the Metro Nashville Police Department and other agencies. What exactly are you looking for in the investigation process? And what would you like if you had the ability to speak directly to Freddie O'Connell? And I'm certain that people from his office are listening to our conversation, Andy. What is the message? What does he need to try to make this right? Let's say he inadvertently, I'll try to give him the benefit of the doubt here, right? He inadvertently crossed the line on a couple of occasions. What does he need to do to make it right in your estimation?
Well, first off, I think that ship has sailed. I think he has doubled, tripled down on this message. And my comment to him would be, what the HELL are you thinking, putting law enforcement in harm's way? You are making Nashville less safe. Literally, Nashville is the jewel of the South. It is the economic engine of the South. And you're going to tarnish our name and our brand and put our people at risk because of your woke, left-leaning policies. Enough is enough, knucklehead. Go represent your city. Go continue economic development. Go make your schools better. Go build roads and bridges. Do the thing that you were asked to do by the American people, or the people of Nashville, rather. And if you want to be woke, then go join a community organization like Obama and go do that kind of crap. But pick your lane, buddy. Mm-hmm. But again, he's gone too far. And when I'm going to say this, and I'm going to triple down on this. He's putting law enforcement in harm's way, and everybody that's listening needs to be calling the mayor's office and telling him to quit, because it may be some righteous indignation on his part until some officer gets killed in the line of duty, and there's going to be criminal and civil penalties that ensue, and that should never happen.
What do you expect? Obviously, with the Homeland Security Committee behind you, with the power of the law behind you, you'll take next steps in furthering the investigation on the Freddie front. I assume that you are in hopes, as most of us in Tennessee are, that the coordination between the Tennessee Highway Patrol and ICE, the coordination between certain local law enforcement agencies and ICE will continue across the state of Tennessee.
Absolutely, and we need it to. I mean, when you understand that, Nashville is a hub not only for commerce, legal commerce, it's a hub for illegal commerce. Nashville is a through point. When you look at Nashville on the map of the United States, within 6 or 7 hours of Nashville, you can reach most of the population centers in the country minus the West Coast. And so there's a reason why businesses are coming to Middle Tennessee. There's also a reason why all of these gangs out of Mexico, all of these gangs out of Central and South America are coming to Nashville, is because it's a great place to do business. It's a great place to move your product. And what you're going to see is an escalated escalation in the population of those criminals, but also you're going to see continued violence, and it's only going to get worse over time. When you look at El Salvador, I was just with the president of El Salvador. I went to the notorious prison there in El Salvador that houses those gang members. And it's only notorious because the people are there. The president there put forward a zero-tolerance policy on the gangs. He's cleaned up his country, and this is a country he spent the last 40 years in turmoil with civil war, dictators, gang violence. And, 3 years ago, you and I couldn't have walked down the streets of El Salvador. Now we can. It's going to become the jewel of Central America because of the president and what he's doing. We've got to take that perspective and learn from that here in Nashville and have that zero tolerance policy.
Congressman Andy Ogles with us for just a few additional moments. So, Congressman, you've spoken about, and I think you did this over the Memorial Day holiday at the state capitol. You spoke about the need for immigration reform. We've seen incredible impact under the Trump administration on the southern border. I saw a report yesterday, I'm sure you've seen the same, 96% decrease in California in illegal crossings. On the border of California, the most liberal state by many estimations in the United States of America, and they've seen that level of decrease. Thank you to Donald Trump's border security policy. And so that creates an ability to turn our attention to long-term reform. Some would suggest that, you don't punish people who have been here for a certain length of time. I'm saddened for a lot of people who bought into this liberal concept that if you come illegally and lay low long enough, that all of that will go away. You and I both know that the illegality doesn't go away. But can you give us some ideas about what you're thinking along the lines of immigration reform? Because we try to be humane. We try to be human beings when it comes to these types of things. And there are a lot of people that are here illegally, sure, but have broken no other laws. What are the hopes for those people in terms of getting to a legal path and paying some form of penalty of some sort or another? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm a zero amnesty kind of guy. I'm sorry you came here illegally. You knew it was illegal. You knew that there could be consequences, and you knew that you could be deported. And so in the same way that you and I could go to the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, we could get a work visa, we could work there. We have to pay their taxes. They're never going to let us vote. They're never going to let us become a citizen. And if we break their laws when we're done in jail, they're going to kick our butts out and we can never return. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty common sense approach. And it's the way most of the world does it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. No amnesty. I'm sorry. It's a great place, and I know why you would want to come here, but you did so illegally. Your very first act in coming into this country was an illegal act. If you're working without a social security number, that is an illegal act. If you're driving without a driver's license, that is an illegal act. If you have a social security number that really isn't yours or was obtained fraudulently, that's an illegal act. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And unfortunately, what we saw under the Joe Biden administration was a systematic invasion of this country, a lawlessness. And then on the other hand, he was also guilty of lawfare against his enemies. And so what Donald Trump has tried to come in is undo some of those wrongs. He secured the border. That's why we passed the big, beautiful bill. It wasn't very beautiful, in my opinion, but we passed it, and we'll continue to try to make it better. But that being said, we can't allow amnesty in this country. I don't care what you call it. You call it a fee, you call it a fine. No amnesty, no amnesty, no amnesty. And I will fight tooth and nail for no amnesty.
In the 1 minute that we have left, you mentioned the big, beautiful bill. And I know that many conservatives in the halls of the House of Representatives kind of held the nose a little bit because it did not go far enough. Are you hopeful that the Senate brings back something that cuts into the deficit a little bit more? I'm certainly hopeful of that. I want to put some of these purple state Republicans on notice that they need to come to our side of things. We have one shot at this, in my opinion, and I think this is our shot to get our deficits in order. What are your thoughts, Andy?
Absolutely. Typically, the House of Representatives is more conservative than the Senate, but this is one of those situations where the Senate's version may actually be more conservative because it's going to go further. But the House Freedom Caucus, we met with President Trump. He asked us to hold our nose and to vote for this because, they're going to be unveiling some additional cuts through that rescission process. In fact, there's a $9 billion rescission package about to come out that we'll vote on in the House. So that being said, he said, give me this runway. Let's continue to secure the border. Let's continue to fund Homeland and ICE. Let's make those tax cuts permanent for our economy. And he gave us his word that he'll continue to cut.
Representative, thank you so much for spending some time with us on the Matt Murphy Show this afternoon, talking about your efforts to get to the bottom of what Freddie knew when he knew it, and did he, in fact, break the law. We look forward to the next report and the next conversation. Thank you so much, Andy.
Absolutely, my friend. Bye.
All right, take care. There's Andy Ogles joining us for a few good moments. I I feel the love, baby. Oh, yeah. Matt Murphy, Andrew Ogles, together again. Double album. Available at Ronco Records. Back in a moment. At Defend Systems, their clients include schools, corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing facilities, corporate headquarters, and much, much more. What do? They are a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee, specializing in physical security consultation and active violence mitigation. That's a fancy way of saying they help you be more safe in your business, and if something should go down, because hope is not a plan, they're there, and they will give you the knowledge, the information, and the tools so that you can respond to it, like rapid response medical training, emergency and intruder action plans, workplace violence prevention, and so much more. We never want a violent situation to happen to you in the workplace or at school or at church, but they do almost seemingly every day. What do you do in response? Hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defend Systems. Go to defendsystems.com or call Brink and his team today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484 for Defend Systems.
Good afternoon. It is 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast and other traffic report are coming up. In meeting with the press today in the Oval Office, President Trump was asked about Wall Street analysts who have created a new term called taco trade, which refers to the president flip-flopping on his tariff threats.
Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till June 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out?
The president called the question from the reporter, quote unquote, nasty. Despite national projections showing a dip in both domestic and international travel, Nashville's tourism industry is thriving with hotel tax revenue, visitor spending, and travel forecasts all pointing to historic highs this year. According to new data presented by the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, Davidson County collected $95 million in hotel tax revenue through February, and 4 separate months they hit new records. That figure is expected to climb even higher before the fiscal year ends in June. The projections are 17.3 million visitors will come to Nashville this year, the most in the city's history. That includes strong domestic leisure travel, which accounts for 67% of visitors. That's up 3% from last year. And now some entertainment news with ABC's Mike Dubusky.
This is going to be a new era for the morning show.
Season 4 of The Morning Show is now set to premiere on September 17th. The star-studded drama follows a newsroom dealing with the elusive nature of truth in a polarized America, according to Apple TV+. Marion Cotillard and Jeremy Irons join the cast this season, alongside Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston.
Welcome to your final Tribal Council.
Mike White, the creator of the hit HBO drama The White Lotus, will appear on the next season of Survivor, CBS has announced. White first appeared on the show back in 2018. Season 50 of Survivor will premiere early next year. And actor Ed Gale has died, though he had over 130 acting credits to his name.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
His biggest role was playing the possessed doll Chucky in the first 3 movies of that franchise. Gale was 61.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. For those up in Montgomery County, the 101st Airborne Division Parkway westbound between Fort Campbell Boulevard and Jordan Road remains closed due to an accident. Also up in the Rivergate area, 65 northbound at Vietnam Vet, still trying to clear that wreck. And we have the off-ramp partially blocked to Old Hickory Boulevard up in Madison from 65 northbound. Also an accident 65 southbound at Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. That exits 90A and B. Again, a crash reported there. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hour number 2 starts right now. If you missed the first hour, where were you? Andy Ogles made a reappearance on the show. Happy to have Andy back with us, discussing his frustration with the mayor of the city of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell, and his desire to get to the bottom of exactly what Freddie did to instruct his police officers regarding immigration and customs enforcement in town. Secondarily, there are news reports out and about indicating that Freddie O'Connell's office was actively outing on official government websites the identities of some of these ICE officers. Secondarily, there are further reports indicating that this belonging fund was ultimately the seed money to the belonging fund was funded by taxpayer dollars, which would in effect fund the support of the illegal alien population here in Davidson County and in Middle Tennessee. We'll continue to break the story down for you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Would look forward to your telephone calls, 615-737-9986 if you want to give us a call. Open phone lines always on the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We also have open availability on the Super Text line, which is the same telephone number for those of you who perhaps are a little shy in the listening audience, don't want to make the call. You can always get your comments in via Super Text, 615-737-9986. This comment did not come through Super Text, but, you know, sometimes I'm in a mood. And I made a little comment right there at the end of our conversation with Andy Ogles. My man, executive producer of this radio show, Chris Weber, saw fit to play a little Peaches and Herb reunited right at the end of the conversation. Because, I mean, Andy and I haven't talked in a long time. It's been almost a year.
Wow.
I mean, it was whenever that FBI thing came out last year, which has now been dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we were reunited, and it did feel so good. And I said, brought to you by Ronco Records. To which Kurt writes in and says, K-Tel made records. Ronco made Pocket Fisherman. If I was in a certain mood, I'd let that slide. And if I'm in a different kind of mood, I throw this at you.
It's Star Time by Ronco. 17 original hits with Cheap Trick.
Cheap Trick.
Peaches and Herb.
Hey.
Little River Band's Lady.
The Peaches and Herb is just a bonus. Just a bonus.
Supergroup Blondie, plus Eddie Money, Gloria Gaynor, and more.
Oh, Heart of Glass.
Cheryl Lynn's giant hit.
Cheryl Lynn. That's a big one.
England Dan and John Ford Coley.
In England Dan.
Bob Welch on Star Time. All top hits on one album. Sister Sledge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We Are Family, Sister Sledge.
The Jacksons.
Hey, they got the Jacksons on Ronco?
Album $5.99. 8-track or cassette, $7.99.
$7.99.
Woolworth Woolco, Eckerd Drug, Car Drug, King's Department Store, Record Bar, and Sears.
Oh, you get it at Sears.
Wow.
Nice.
And just about all of those retailers are out of business.
Man.
Sears is not far behind.
Let's see. What do we got? We got, you can get it at King's. You can get it at Kerr's.
Yeah, Record Bar.
Record Bar.
Yeah,
Gone. Wow,
yeah,
Woolworth. Ronco Records. Ronco Records. Ronco Records is gone, but Ronco still exists. Who knew?
Still get you a food dehydrator. From
You can
Ronco,
get you a Showtime rotisserie.
Ooh.
Remember that?
Yes. Yeah. But wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah. And the rotisserie was set it and forget it. And
I like the canned hair.
Hair in a can.
Spraying the hair.
That was good.
Hair in a can. So some of the inventions. So Ron Popeil created Ronco. His father invented the pocket fisherman.
The Popeil's pocket fisherman.
Yeah, the pocket because you never know when you just get the urge.
That's right.
You see a little body of water and there might be some fish in there. Let's go. The pocket fisherman, the electric food dehydrator, the Showtime rotisserie, Chop-O-Matic.
Ooh.
Inventor of the Chop-O-Matic. The Dial-O-Matic, which was the successor to the Veg-O-Matic. Whatever that is. The inside the shell egg scrambler, because who doesn't need one of those?
Yeah, that's practical.
The smokeless ashtray, which I remember. My grandmother considered getting one of those. The automatic pasta maker and the Ronco rhinestone stud setter.
Stud setter, absolutely.
Come on.
Yeah, looking groovy with those rhinestones.
And Ronco was a major rival of the K-Tel brand, a record label that issued compilation albums in your local retail stores like Sears and Eckerd Drugs, which is even difficult to get out. I mean, poor Eckerd.
They're still hanging on, I think,
Are they?
Aren't they?
Oh,
Maybe
no.
not. I don't know.
I think there was an Eckerd. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but when I first got to Nashville, Tennessee, there was the remnants of an Eckerd Drugs right across the street from Centennial Park.
That's right. Yeah, they're on the that weird corner there by Elliston Place.
That's exactly right. That little angle corner there.
Yeah, where people don't know where to drive and how to go there. It's been that way.
Exactly
I moved to Nashville in '85. People still hadn't figured that out.
That's exactly right, because people don't know. If you want to turn right, you can't get in the far left. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Coming off of that, it's a bad intersection.
Sadly, Eckerd Drugs ceased to exist in 2007. Bought out by Rite Aid, apparently. Who
now,
I think they're barely hanging on.
Well, I'd see if Rite Aid's still around. I don't think Rite Aid's still around.
Well, I know they have closed a bunch, but I think technically they still exist. But boy, they're on life support.
They still exist.
As of 2022, H.D. Schulman International Trading, LLC, had purchased the rights to the Ronco brand and its portfolio of products and markets them through Ronco.com. And they do not, yes, it is the GLH9 that stands for Great Looking Hair Formula 9.
Yeah, baby.
Is their hair in a spray can.
Like it was never there.
Like that bald spot never existed there. And I remember when Popeil used to do that on late night television.
Yeah.
Where he would demonstrate it. He would show you his bald spot, and then he would go there, and it's gone. Gone.
Just don't let it rain on you.
Every time I saw that commercial, it reminded me of my grandpa. My brother was in a class with someone that had lice.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's bad. And so they sent us home. They sent Brian home with a note that, you might want to check because this kid had lice and your child might have lice. And my grandfather read the note and he went outside, and I'm not making this up. He sprayed his head with Hot Shot. God.
That'll take care of it.
And he's mumbling as he's like, I'm damn if I'm getting any lice in my head. And it's like, nope. It's like, my goodness. I think that's a little aggressive, I would think.
Yeah.
But, he didn't have lice.
Well, must have worked.
I think some of his hair fell out as a result, but he didn't have lice. So we were just discussing before our conversation with Andy Ogles this. Tell me, 615-737-9986, am I missing the mark on this, or is the mainstream media missing the mark? I do not know of a scandal in American presidential history that would supersede or be greater than the one that we just lived through. Inasmuch as it's now been discovered, and it's been well known in Washington, D.C. circles, that there were many other people pulling the strings and making the decisions for Joe Biden. According to the New York Post, which is relating this storyline out of the bombshell new book by Jake Tapper, and of course Tapper protected the president all throughout his presidency, a small group of former President Joe Biden's inner circle was running the White House like a Politburo. They were called the Politburo. And they were the, quote, ultimate decision makers as Joe Biden's health and cognitive function continued to decline. The group, dubbed the Politburo, included a group of seasoned political veterans, including Mike Donnellan, Steve Rashidi, Bruce Reed, but also family members such as First Lady Jill Biden and the president's son, Hunter. The authors of Original Sin claim, in terms of who was running the White House, it's a small group of people that have been around, according to Original Sin author Alex Thompson, telling PBS's Washington Week. Some people within the administration call them the Politburo. That's the term we use in the book. Former White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain was at times part of the Politburo, was former senior advisor to the president, and also Annie Tomasini, who was also on the quote-unquote Politburo, was the former First Lady's former top advisor and work husband, Anthony Burnell, who the Post previously reported created a toxic workplace environment within the White House. Joe Biden himself, they say, was also a part of this. He was not like Weekend at Bernie's, according to the co-author, saying that he had some purchase here, he had agency, he was aware of at least some of what's going on. They're referring to the president of the United States of America. He was aware of some of what was going on. It wasn't, he had a say in all of this. The question then becomes, what do we do with some of the decision-making on the part of the presidency? I don't suggest that any of this will lead to a revocation of pardons. I don't believe that any of this will lead to a reexamination. We need to examine the auto pen and its use because there was way too much damn auto pen going on. And we need to look into some of these people and exactly what they knew. We, at very least, if we don't see charges brought up, if we don't see anything other than the truth coming out, we must demand as the American people the truth come out. For 4 years, we knew. You and I talked about it. You and I discussed it. I mean, the man became president of the United States, and I understand I was not here for the beginnings of his presidency on Super Talk. I came in at the end of the first year. But it was obvious to all of us during the political campaign that he could not have survived the rigors of a campaign were it not for COVID-19. Much less the rigors of the presidency. I said throughout the presidency of Joe Biden, all you need to know about your suspicions regarding where he was mentally is in what you see every day. Because what you see every day, as managed as it was the best that he was going to be. What we saw publicly of Joe Biden was as good as it got on any given day. It only went downhill from there. They know, they being this Politburo and his liar-in-chief, Karine Jean-Pierre, and Jen Psaki before her, They knew exactly when he would be before the cameras. They staged it that way. They prepared every moment of every day of his presidency for the 5 or 10 minutes that he would be on television that day. They actively refused, we now know. You know, the president of the United States is asked to give a lot of speeches. They actively refused to give any speech over 15 minutes. And those were few and far between. Number two, when the president could not be in attendance at an event, that event would oftentimes, if the president was behind the event or whatever, they would ask for a pre-recorded video of the president of the United States. And oftentimes, according to this new book, and I don't have any reason to doubt it now, they're trying to cover their tracks now. Thompson and Tapper claim that these various organizations like trade unions and these types of things, they would say, well, the president, could he send like a 5-minute address on video if he can't be here? And the White House would refuse to send a 5-minute address. They would say, well, he'll send something that's between 90 seconds and 2 minutes, because they knew he could not get through a prepared video speech of 5 minutes. And even in the 2-minute speeches, y'all remember this, we talked about it while it happened. He would put out 2-minute speeches, 2-minute deliveries, and he had to edit it 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 times. That's how bad it was. Friends, we did not have a president of the United States of America that was elected for 4 years. And the American people, at very least, deserve to know the truth about what was going on in the White House. The media doesn't want to tell you because they were complicit in it. Jake Tapper gets no credit, 0 credit for any of this, because he was not only complicit in it in as much as he knew, he actively tried to cover it up. We've played the receipts on the radio for you, where Jake Tapper's having conversations with people like Laura Trump, and Laura Trump says, well, you know, there's been a mental decline. Oh, you're going after him because of his stutter. You're picking on him. A guy. What does it say to the children of the world that have stutters that you're picking on a guy with a stutter? That's what Tapper said to Laura Trump. Man, what dope are you smoking? This is not about a stutter. Oh, by the way, how did this stutter suddenly reappear when he became president of the United States? It was never a problem when he was vice president. It was never a problem when he was a United States senator. You know, when he was younger and had his faculties about him. It only reappeared when you people needed a crutch to explain away his inability to think. I'm on record as saying I would feel bad for Joe Biden if I did not believe him to be such an awful human being before he got dementia. It's hard for me to feel bad for him now that he has dementia. But I will say that it's elder abuse. What happened to him was most certainly elder abuse, and it's shameful on the part of his crackhead son and his power-hungry wife and everybody else in this so-called Politburo. And they claim they did it to, quote, save democracy. They subverted the will of the American people, and they destroyed and dismantled the democratic process for the purpose of saving it. Makes 0 sense. Your thoughts? 615-737-9986 if you have any. Plus, when we return, a major political figure in Washington, D.C. has announced that he wants a new job. And I'm wondering when a major political figure in the state of Tennessee will announce the same. And where are her supporters when she does? We're talking about Marsha Blackburn next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The TMJ Solution Center, the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, I should say, brought to you by Dr. Brian McLaughlin, is here for you. Friends, if you believe that you might have sleep apnea, I encourage you to get a sleep test. I did not think I had sleep apnea, but on consultation with Dr. Stephen Poss at the time and since, he's brought on Dr. Brian McLaughlin to lead the team. Dr. Poss said, Murph, I think maybe what you're describing to me might be sleep apnea. I know you say you don't snore very much, but maybe get a test, because 25% of men who have sleep apnea don't snore significantly, but they still stop breathing throughout the course of the night. It hurts you in terms of energy level. It can be very damaging to your health, and it can damage the longevity of your life, literally. So I got a sleep test, and lo and behold, I do have sleep apnea. But my FDA-approved oral device, which is fabricated specifically to my mouth, it is individual to your mouth. It has helped me sleep better, keep the airway open. I breathe better. I sleep through the night. I don't have to worry about it. And I have the energy levels that I've had. Oh, it's just been a godsend to me and the family. Go to the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center by going to TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com to find out more. I encourage you to do this. They're in network with most insurance in the state of Tennessee. 2 locations to serve you, one in Murfreesboro, the other in Brentwood. It's the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy with a recent bombshell report revealing that the abortion pill is literally now 10 times more dangerous than the FDA originally claimed, with 11% of women experiencing serious adverse effects. Horrifyingly, the abortion pill accounts for over 60% of abortions in America today, with an average of over 1 million babies aborted annually. That means, if you do the math, that 66,000 women have been harmed on average by the abortion pill this year. This is what they call health care? No. Let me tell you about a network that cares. The Preborn Network has saved over 67,000 babies in last year alone. Preborn not only provides for the physical and emotional needs of mama, but also cares for the soul of mama through God's love. Once a mama sees her baby on ultrasound, once she hears the heartbeat on ultrasound, the chances of that baby surviving doubles. And it happens through love. $28 can provide an ultrasound. $140 can provide 5. To donate, simply dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 and say baby, or visit preborn.com/Murphy. Preborn.com/Murphy. Do this today. Preborn.com/Murphy.
The escaped Arkansas prisoner and former police chief, that guy's still on the run. And more of the controversial presidential pardon of a reality TV couple. We'll have an update on that. And today's closing money news. That's all on the way at 4:30 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, the rotisserie is still a big seller on Ronco.com.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Dehydrators. And, I mean, of all of the products, rotisserie number 1, dehydrator number 2, Pocket Fisherman. They've got a modern version of the Pocket Fisherman. Looks great. Looks great. I'm shopping for Christmas for you fellas. So let's see how much you think a pocket fisherman would set you back.
$19.95.
Harper, you want to guess back there? Pocket fisherman, how much?
$49.95.
$41.99.
Yeah,
for a pocket fisherman.
That was kind of close.
Tell you what. Always ready for the fish to strike. I mean, how much does that save you?
Yeah. Can't put a price on that.
You can't really. You can't. I mean, that's the bottom line. Paul is in Winchester next. Paul, can you hold on just a second, Paul? Will you do that for me?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Oh, you're a good man, because I see via the old clock on the wall here that it's time for the news with Jay Harper. Once the news happens, we'll get to Paul and the rest of your calls, 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hang on, Paul. I'll get through this newscast quickly for you, buddy. It is 4:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get a forecast and a traffic report here in a minute. No credible leads yet in the ongoing manhunt for escaped Arkansas prisoner and former police chief Grant Hardin. At least that's of this afternoon. Bureau of Prison spokesperson Rand Champion told reporters about the search that's focused in northern Arkansas.
We've had a couple instances, I know, during this search where it's been hard we have too many people in one place and units are on top of each other trying to get in and out. It's kind of hampering it. So I think it's just trying to be very coordinated and making sure that we're spreading our resources where they need to be.
Court documents have shown that a corrections officer opened a secure gate for Hardin last weekend. The 56-year-old was serving decades in prison for rape and murder. Fast-moving developments after President Trump's surprise decision to pardon reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley. Their release is expected sometime today. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero.
We expect to see Todd Chrisley, who's serving a 12-year sentence in Florida, released from the Pensacola facility, and Julie Chrisley, who was sentenced to 7 years, released from her facility in Lexington, Kentucky. As for the why, the president hasn't specifically said why and certainly hasn't elaborated on it, but he has loosely referenced some convictions as harsh. We know he has categorized some as a weaponization of the Justice Department.
The couple, who became famous for their show Chrisley Knows Best, were sentenced back in November of 22 to a combined 19 years in prison on charges that included fraud and tax evasion. We've got today's closing money news now. Here is Wayne Cabot.
Stocks are roaring back after the Memorial Day weekend. The Dow up 741 points. The S&P gained 119. The Nasdaq jumped 462 points. The stock market rally driven by relief over President Trump delaying until July 9th a 50% tariff on exports from the European Union. Investors also buoyed by a jump in consumer confidence. The Conference Board said that its Consumer Confidence Index rose over 12 points in May to 98. That's up from April's 85.7, the lowest reading since the start of the COVID pandemic. Newly released numbers show Tesla sales in 32 European countries plunged by half in April compared to the same month a year ago. Sales collapsed, the latest indication that European consumers are not happy with billionaire chief Elon Musk over his far-right views and meddling in European politics. And Tuesday has been the last day to check your bags for free on Southwest Airlines. The carrier has dropped its long-standing policy.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. We have picked up an injury crash in the Belmead part of town, Harding Pike, just east of Highway 100. And on 65 northbound, the off-ramp to Old Hickory Boulevard, still partially blocked due to a wreck there. Harding Place, west of Trousdale Drive, picking up a crash. Also, Nolensville Pike at Polk Avenue, an injury accident there. And this crash on 65 southbound to Briley, there at exits 90A and B, it's been moved out of the road, but people still gawking at it, so we've got a little bit of a backup there. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds wants you to know that they have the most diamonds in stock of any diamond jewelry company in Middle Tennessee, and it's not even close, at both of their locations. And friends, I'm here to tell you, when you walk through the door, you'll see the selection for yourself at Genesis Diamonds. Now, what does this mean for you as a practical matter? One, they already have the best prices in town around. Number two, with all of the tariff talk that's been going on for some time now, you don't have to worry about any of that at Genesis Diamonds, because their diamonds that are in stock, they're already priced low. And that means that those prices aren't going anywhere. Everybody else has to adjust prices based on what they think might happen down the road. They don't worry about that at Genesis Diamonds. And don't forget, it's way beyond price. It's the selection, it's their quality, it's their outrageously good customer service, and their industry-leading warranty. Plus, they are the leading provider of pre-owned Rolex watches in our community, and Dad would love, if you want to get Dad a home run gift for the ages, how about a pre-owned Rolex from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs? Be sure to tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Genesis Diamonds. Oh, dear. On the super text line, Joshua is now accusing Ken Weaver of going on the cruise with Dan Mandis. That is, I don't know if that's true or not. I would assume that's not the case.
Yeah,
I believe Ken said he was in Charlotte.
Yeah, he's in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, but I don't know. Ken could have been fibbing.
Would that have been a ruse, perhaps?
Maybe so. I mean, maybe Ken and Chris Hand and Dan are all on the Disney cruise together, for all I know. I mean,
which one's goofy?
I didn't say she was crazy, Doc. That's one of my favorite jokes. I promise I get to Paul, and I've got the redheaded stranger on the line, too, to tell you about a June 3rd event that you need to know about, for those of you especially living in Davidson County, but it really does impact everyone in the listening audience. You want to listen up for that. But I promised Paul he would be next. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great, Paul. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, I want to go back about 4 years ago. I put my morning show on, and Dave Mandich is on there, and we're getting an update on the mobilization of Russian troops on the border of Ukraine. And every day we get an update, and they're moving platoons in, and there's tens of thousands of troops and weapons, etc. And this went on every day for a full year. Yet there was no answer from Joe Biden, not a peep from the White House. I had a friend out here that wanted to start a lottery. When is Russia going to actually attack? Anyway, they finally attack. We get ourselves involved in a proxy war, which we're neck deep in it now, and Donald Trump is trying to get us out of it, but it doesn't look too good. And it turns out that the Politburo, I guess the country was being led by Jill and Hunter Biden. No wonder nothing happened.
Oh, yeah, Jill, Hunter Biden, and according to this new book, Ron Klain was involved in that, and some other senior advisors to the president and the First Lady of the United States of America. None of them appointed to anything. None of them elected to anything. None of them approved by the United States Senate to anything. None of them confirmed to anything. And they were apparently making the decisions in the White House.
Well, I guess they were, yeah. And Hunter was on the Ukrainian payroll for God knows how long for a no-show, no-call job. Plus, Hunter had taken millions from a Russian oligarch. So they didn't know what side to support at that point.
Well, certainly Hunter Biden's $50,000 a month position on the board of Burisma had everything to do with Joe Biden's position on Ukraine, had everything to do with our lack of influence in terms of Russian involvement in that conflict. No, I mean, the Biden administration, I mean, obviously Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel. The Biden administration was certainly asleep at the wheel, and they allowed it to happen. And I agree with Donald Trump when he says, were he president of the United States of America, it would never have happened. And now it is more difficult to squeeze that toothpaste back in the tube than even Donald Trump anticipated. And he is right to note, look, I can only do so much. Europe has to step up. And if you want the Ukrainians unleashed and give Europe the ability to give them the power and the tools necessary to go, they ought to be able to go into Russia. If Russia wants to continue to push further into Ukraine, I don't have a problem with that. It's just not our fight. And that has been my position all along. It's just not the fight for the American people. Pamela Furr joins us on the radio show, on the Murphy Show hotline, to talk about an upcoming city council meeting. Hello, Pamela. How are you?
Well, hello. I am great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Hey, how's your knee?
It's doing much better. It still swells, and I know you're about to get your shoulder completely replaced. Just be prepared. You're going to set off all alarms at airport.
All right.
And that sort of thing.
I guess I'll get a card, huh? Will they give you a card? Don't they give you a card to say, hey, he's got titanium in him or something?
Not anymore. No, you just tell the guy who is
doing the
little screening, the big screening machine, now that it's a full body scan kind of thing. You say, hey, I've got titanium, and they go, okay. That's about it. An alarm will sound.
But my goodness gracious, better take off those shoes.
Here's what yeah, no kidding.
Right.
So if I'm going to give you any advice.
Yes.
Do exactly what the doctor tells you to do.
Okay.
Exactly what he tells you to do.
I've already violated that because he told me that I had to take off 2 weeks from work. And so I've already planned on taking off a week from work and working a week from home.
Yeah, I think you can do that. But the question is, are you going to be able to work and take all the narcotics you're going to get?
We're going to find out together as a radio family, and it should be a heck of a couple of days to begin with.
Oh yes, and you want to stay ahead of. Listen at me, like I'm a doctor, but I've been there. You want to stay ahead of the pain, so they're going to give you enough so that you can take it before the pain even starts.
Oh, I can hear it now. You shut up talking to me, Weber. Pamela Furr said the more the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, just do everything that the doctor says, and you'll be fine. You'll be great. You'll recover fast. Yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be fun, and then I'll have a nice scar to tell people about.
Right, you'll have a warrior wound.
Oh yeah, no. If I ever were to get a tattoo, now's the time, right?
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good idea.
All right. So, look, we have not left this story alone, although we haven't talked about it in the last week or so.
Right.
It is the possibility of a huge property tax increase for the citizens of Davidson County.
Mm-hmm.
Without an uproar, without a fuss, and without a fight, it is going to happen. But I still hold out hope that if enough people stand up and say no, that we can do something about it. Tell us about the latest.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we're planning on, now the nitty-gritty gets into play here, because now the city council will begin to meet, and now they'll begin to discuss these things. And if they don't make a decision by the end of June, then the mayor's budget goes into effect, and that includes a 27% property tax hike. So we're going to protest outside of the city council chambers, which is at the historic courthouse. I think the address is One Plaza in Nashville. We're going to do that on Tuesday before the city council meeting. We're going to gather at 5, and I've got big, bright red T-shirts that say no new taxes on them, and it has the TriStar on the back, so they'll be pretty cool. You can bring your signs if you want to, but we're going to be outside on the courthouse steps yelling no new taxes, as we did in front of the library, as city council goes in to meet. And then at 6:30, we're going to go inside, and we're going to let them see all of our pretty faces. And a couple of people are going to sign up to speak actually to the city council, and we're going to show them that this is not just a quiet minority. We're going to be a very, very loud minority that will hold them accountable. And we're hearing rumors too, Matt, that maybe Courtney Johnston, maybe some others might be presenting a counter budget. I haven't gotten any kind of confirmation on that, but we'll have to see. We'll see if that gets presented perhaps at this city council meeting. So I want people to join us. Call me, 615-308-7013, or find me on socials, or, I'm very findable, and I'll sign you up. We had a great protest the last time. It was in the middle of the day, and we had 50 people. So think about how many could gather. And this is the way that you get attention. Hey, I heard you with Andy Ogles just a few minutes ago. Look, that press conference that he did, he had a ton of protesters outside.
He did.
And even though I disagree with what they're protesting, still it was effective. It was effective in that you got to see that there were a lot of people who did not agree with what Andy had to say. So reverse that, or flip that around. Protest in the same way, loud but proud, but with an issue that most conservatives, heck, most taxpayers would agree with. Don't raise our property taxes. And by the way, in that interview that I did hear, I didn't get to hear all of it, but did he not talk about the belonging fund could possibly be funded?
Yeah, so
with
a lot of that,
dollars?
a lot of that seed money, there was COVID-based seed money that routed into what eventually became the belonging fund. So the suggestion has been that it was taxpayer money that ultimately seeded the belonging fund that is now paying out money to illegal aliens. And I don't know how to put a finer point on it. This is money that is going to people who are illegally in the country to help subsidize their stay. And it is, you route that money back. And, they do the whole thing. I compare it to a swimming pool, Pamela. They dump some money into the one end of the pool, and then they pull it out of the other end of the pool, and then they claim that you don't really know where the money comes from. But we do know where the money comes from. And most of that money is coming from the taxpayers. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So if he's going to misspend money like that, then I don't trust him with another 27% of my property taxes. That really makes me angry. And so if you feel the same way, join us on Tuesday for that protest. I do have one more thing, though. Did Andy also talk about or maybe you did, the mayor doxing law enforcement information.
Yes. So there was a new report out that the mayor was putting out information regarding, and I posted it up. If you want to go find it at Matt Murphy Show, you can find it on my X Machine page. It's right there at the top. But Ogles said, thanks to the work of Karen I guess that is Karen Aguilar, of Fox 17. The office has uncovered evidence that Mayor Freddie O'Connell publicly leaked the names of DHS and HSI officials working with Davidson County on immigration enforcement.
Well, we're going to have to do some checking because, and you're not going to remember this because you weren't here, but I believe it was in 2016 or 2017. I worked with several state lawmakers. This was the first time I've ever lobbied for anything on Blue Lives Matter laws, right? And one of the laws, it was the only one out of the whole package that I think we got passed, it makes it if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to have to go look it up, a Class E felony in the state of Tennessee to dox any law enforcement information, period.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then
Class E felony.
Freddie O'Connell is guilty of a Class E felony. So, I mean, or C? Did you say C or E?
I think it's an E, which is it's still a felony, but it's not a big one.
Well, I mean, and we'll try to put two and two together and figure out if that is the case. But, they are certainly gathering that information and presenting that information. And there are other organizations that are actively working through the city of Nashville to gather information on where ICE is and trying to get that information to those communities prior to ICE getting there. I mean, all of it is designed to present ICE as the bad guy here. They are not the bad guys.
Well, they are not the bad guys, and I'll say this, and here, for me, it ties all together. And I know people are very passionate about this issue with the illegal immigrants and all of that with Mayor O'Connell. But this shows you that he does not care about Nashville. And I've been giving him the benefit of the doubt all along, and you know this. But this, I mean, if it were just a one-time thing, I could be okay. But he continues to double down here when we're talking about illegal immigrants. And then we're talking about taxpayer dollars going to illegal immigrants. I have a big problem with that. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt anymore. So you want 27% more of my property taxes? Go pound sand. That's how I feel about it.
Well, if you're upset at Freddie O'Connell about the immigration issue, you need to be upset at Freddie O'Connell about the taxation issue, all of it, and you need to go down. I don't care if it's because of immigration. I don't care how you get inspired to get down there. Get down there and protest what this mayor is doing to this county.
Do it. Yep, absolutely.
Love it.
On Tuesday, 5 o'clock, in front of the historic courthouse, which is where the city council chambers are located. Let's do it on Tuesday.
Love it.
Thank you, Matt.
And what time is it? 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
Will you call me from down there?
Of course I will.
Oh, I love it. Oh, absolutely love it.
All
There's the redheaded stranger, Pamela Furr, joining us for a few good minutes. That is next Tuesday, 5 o'clock at the old city council chambers. It is 54 after the hour. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. They use a direct pay format. That means that you pay Grace Point Healthcare, and then you can apply to your insurance company for reimbursement. That primary care provider direct pay format is a simple one, and it is beneficial in a couple of different ways. One, you know exactly what your health care is costing you, which sadly most people don't know nowadays. Number two, this keeps the price point low, and your relationship with your doctor at Grace Point Healthcare is never compromised by the insurance companies. Sadly, it is the case that insurance companies dictate to doctors what they can and cannot do. Not so at Grace Point Healthcare. And oh, by the way, the basic Smart Care plan is $69 a month, and that includes free office visits for the entire year, plus free free basic labs and diagnostic testing. How about that? They treat the whole body. They don't allow pharmaceutical companies to get in your way either. So if they can solve a problem without a pill, they're going to do that. They understand that sometimes pills are necessary, but only do they recommend them when they aren't necessary. I love that about Grace Point Healthcare. Located in the heart of Franklin, give them a call today. No wait times, 599-6868, 599-6868. You really can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a weather forecast and we'll get you another updated traffic report. Yeah, that's what it is. That's coming up here in a little bit. In meeting with the press today in the Oval Office, President Trump was asked about Wall Street analysts who have created a new term called taco trade, which refers to the president, as they say, always chickening out on his tariff threats.
Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till June 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out?
The president called the question from the reporter who asked about that nasty. Separate from the one big beautiful bill that would enact his priorities for the future, Mr. Trump is set to seek congressional approval for DOGE-related spending cuts in this fiscal year. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more from D.C.
An administration official confirms the package of proposed cuts is due on Capitol Hill next Tuesday, and that it would seek more than $9 billion in reductions, mostly for foreign aid, but also in funding for public broadcasting. It would be a rare drafting of what's called a rescissions bill, where the administration recommends that Congress claw back spending it has already approved. Speaker Mike Johnson says the House will act swiftly to codify the plan. Under the rarely used procedure, it cannot be filibustered in the Senate.
Back here in Nashville, despite national projections showing a dip in both domestic and international travel, Nashville's tourism industry is doing quite well. Yes, tourism, that's the word. It's thriving with hotel tax revenue, visitor spending, and travel forecasts, all pointing to a historic high this year. According to new data presented by the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, Davidson County collected $95 million in hotel tax revenue through February, with 4 separate months hitting new records. That figure is expected to grow even more before the fiscal year ends in June. The projections are 17.3 million visitors will come to Nashville this year, the most in the city's history. That includes strong domestic leisure travel, which accounts for 67% of visitors, and that is up 3% from last year. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. As we continue with your traffic information here on this Wednesday, Harding Pike just east of Highway 100. We've got an injury crash reported in Belmead. And still this pesky crash here, the off-ramp still blocked partially to 65 northbound, actually from 65 northbound over to Old Hickory Boulevard. We also have a crash Blakemore Avenue east of 23rd Avenue South in the Vanderbilt area. And another new crash. This would have the right shoulder block, 65 northbound, just before Wedgwood. And finally, the right shoulder block due to a crash, 65 southbound at I-440. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I don't know. This might be the first argument amongst the band.
We'll make it through. How about pork for the people?
I like that.
That's a good one.
I mean, I thought Thick Cut was going to be the...
It's tough to name, a song off your track.
I mean, plenty of bands have done so.
I know. Pork for the people, though.
So, hello, by the way. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We've got more serious matters to discuss with a good guest. His name is John Rich. Cameron is in his normal place here on these Wednesdays. He comes in and visits with us from 5 until about 7 o'clock on Wednesday afternoons. That would be Cameron Smith. He writes for the Tennessee, and we also do a little podcast together called All the Best Words. We invite you to go over to that podcast to like and subscribe. Cameron and I started an artificial intelligence band by the name of Wasted Bacon.
Yes.
This was born out of our frustration that we were at a breakfast.
It was a Men of Valor breakfast.
It was a Men of Valor breakfast down at Music City Center, and we walked out of that breakfast, and we looked at all the plates with all of the bacon on them, and we tried to take up all the bacon because, my goodness gracious, they were just going to throw that away, and what do you do with wasted bacon?
Apparently, it's frowned upon to run around and grab all the bacon, but...
Especially when it's just in your hands.
That's awkward.
And a band was born.
Yep.
And we're now... Artificial Intelligence has written how many tracks now?
I'll tell you in a minute.
I'm sure our next guest loves hearing about all of this. John Rich, country music superstar, is joining us on the show to talk about a more serious matter, which has been going on for quite some time. And John, once again, thank you for being on. Thank you for being on top of these local issues. Thank you for being a voice of the people. And thank you for letting me know about this issue because I was completely unfamiliar with it. And I think many in our listening audience will agree. John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. And by the way, Wasted Bacon, let's go. You want to open for Big and Rich?
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Let's go.
We can make it happen.
I mean, when you hear the hit song Swamp Ass, you're going to want us.
Oh, it's good. It's good stuff, brother. Look, we're there, by the way. We're going to take that clip and remind you of it every time you go out on tour. Number two. Listen, in all sincerity, people need to get to John Rich's X Machine page at John Rich and look at this 5-minute video that you did with this wonderful couple out of Chetum County. And thank you for drawing attention to this thing. Tell everybody that maybe not familiar with it what's going on.
Okay, well, thanks for having me on. So when I moved to Tennessee from Texas, back at the beginning of high school for me, we moved to Chetum County. And my dad still lives there. My brother lives there. My Granny Rich lived there until she passed away in 2020. I know that county frontwards and backwards. I have friends and family all over it. So I was made aware that the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, had this proposal to put in a multi-100-acre footprint methane gas plant and a pipeline and transmission wires. And I said, where are they talking about putting it? And they showed me a map of where they were putting it. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. Nope. That's where they want to put it. Well, if you don't know Cheatham County, it's sitting on top of Sycamore Creek. That's a really big waterway through there that supplies Pleasant View and Ashland City with about 1.5 million to 2 million gallons of water per day to both of those towns out of Sycamore Creek. On top of that, there's 5 schools within 5 miles of where this place is. I could keep going. Okay. The TVA has 293,000 acres that they own personally in the state of Tennessee. They're the 4th largest landowner in our state. So it begs the question, why on earth can't you take a few hundred acres out of your 293,000 acres and build it there?
Right.
Why do you have to come take brand new land? So as I dug deeper into this story, I started hearing about lawsuits that the TVA is dropping on residents of Cheatham County. One in particular, a 90-year-old lady who's suffering from dementia, has a bunch of TVA trucks and vans come rolling up into her front yard unannounced. All these men get out of these TVA trucks and start basically bullying this woman, wanting to come onto her land and do what they would call, well, destructive testing, but they would call it surveying. When you look at the paper, it's surveying / we're going to drill holes all over your property is what it is. Well, this poor lady had no idea who they were, why they were there. Thank God somebody intervened. But now she is going into court at 90 years old with dementia to take on the TVA to keep them off her property. And then I heard about another couple, the Wades. Now that's the one you saw in the video on X. And you mentioned this. Anybody that's on X / Twitter at John Rich, this video is pinned at the top of my page. I got so upset about this. I said, I'm going to drive out there. I'm just going to drive out there and take my iPhone and sit down with this elderly couple. I'm going to find out what's going on from their perspective. And I spent about an hour with them sitting on their front porch, way down a back road, about probably half a mile down a one-way back road that led to their house. And the story they told me was unbelievable. They are also being sued by the TVA. So I said, I'm going to make a video. I'm going to tell this story, and we got to get it out there. Now, here's the issue, guys. This is the learning curve for everybody, including me. The only person in the United States that can tell the TVA what to do or what not to do is the president of the United States.
Yep.
Who knew that?
Yep.
They are appointed by the president. Matter of fact, April the 1st of this year, 2025, Trump fired the lead guy at the TVA. Fired him.
Yeah, Lyash.
And some other people got fired in can too.
Yeah, Lyash said he was going to resign, and he knew that he knew his firing was coming, which is why he announced his resignation at the end of the year. And Trump said, "No, you're out of here right now."
No, you're out of here, right? Yeah. So the only person that can stop this from happening is Donald Trump. Now, I've also reached out to the head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, and Lee Zeldin and I have been going back and forth on text message, and he said, "Okay, we're going to do a deep dive on this because based on what you're saying, this is an ecological disaster in that area." I said, it most certainly is. I mean, you're sitting on top of massive water supplies to 2 towns. You're within 5 miles of 5 different schools. You're going to have to blast limestone hills apart to build the infrastructure to even get to where they want to build this thing. There's no roads leading to this. There's no bridges. There's nothing. They're going to have to tear the ass out of Cheatham County to build this thing. Yikes. And so they've been I'll pause. Just give me one more second. Then I'll stop.
No, I'm going.
These people, these blue collar, hardworking people at Cheatham County have been screaming at the top of their lungs, and nobody will listen. Well, I heard it, and I said, I'm gonna do the best I can. I'm gonna take the biggest swing at this I can, put as big a spotlight on it as I can, and hopefully the president of the United States will weigh in and say, nope, find another spot. I'll stop after that.
You're right.
I'm fired up.
Well, and you should be. So the people of Cheatham County have seen this coming for some time, and when I became aware of it through your Twitter video, I did a dive down the rabbit hole, and the TVA is an interesting entity in that there's no other federally owned energy supplier in America other than TVA, and they have total control. And you're right. They are the only people that they're answerable to. It's the president of the United States and the people in the presidential administration. I find it odd, a couple of things. One, Lyash in his term as CEO seemed to try to push TVA into going away from the coal-fired plants that they currently have and to, quote-unquote, modernize the TVA. And I think this is a part of it, John. I think this gas and methane power plant is a part of trying to get away from coal-fired, which I don't have a problem with coal-fired. But, I mean, I believe that if this gets in front of the president, that he'll do something about it. And, frankly, I don't understand why there aren't more appointments forthcoming, because my information that I dug up this morning, there is a 9-member board, and there are only 4 people on the board right now. There are 5 vacancies on the board, and all 4 of them were appointed by the deadhead president, Joe Biden, from the previous administration. So I feel like, based on what Trump has said about Lyash in the past and his disagreements with Lyash, secondarily, his ability to appoint on the board, I feel like we can put at least a pause on this thing. What do you got, Cameron?
Well, John, if you want to make the TVA real uncomfortable, you need to ask for one just simple request for information. Just say, I want a comprehensive list of your use of eminent domain to take land in the state of Tennessee.
Amen.
And that's all you got to ask, because their internal records are definitely going to have that, but it's not easy to see. I've played this game a little bit of trying to look into this stuff, because I don't like government. I don't like government-run entities that should be private entities. And so the TVA is a weird animal. I think it was a Great Depression creation, and asking them for a comprehensive list of their uses of eminent domain will shine so much light onto what TVA has done, because the inundation areas where they built these dams and then they knew they were going to flood certain areas, that is a probably legitimate, though unfortunate, use of eminent domain. But I don't think, from what I can tell, they've just limited their takings to that.
No. And John, I'll follow up with this, and then I'll let you talk. But your video with these folks in Chetum County, it goes to show you the way the TVA does their business. And I did some research into how they did some of this stuff. They come into these areas and they claim that they want to do a listening tour. They provide these public meetings. People come in and they explain why this would be such a hardship, and they shake their heads and they act like they're listening, and then they go do what they want to do to begin with, regardless of what the people are telling them in these communities. I mean, it is a shame that the families of the state of Tennessee are being abused in this way. And John, you pointed the light to this, that it does not have to, there might be an excuse for a dam or a public easement. There are times when eminent domain is necessary, and this is not one of those times in Cheatham County, John.
No, it's not. And I would say to Cameron, you work for the Tennessean. Why don't you file a FOIA request, and why don't you get that information and put it in the Tennessean?
Sure. I can do that.
Do it.
Yeah,
he's in.
Do it.
He's all in.
If that's your call on it, on what you can do, go do that. I've never filed a FOIA request. I don't know how to do that.
Well, let me put it this way. If you're texting with Lee Zeldin, you're going to be faster than me. And you just say, hey, Lee, I got an idea.
John has no idea how much power he has. John's just like,
I can file FOIA. You know what they're going to do on an entry FOIA? I'm going to have to call somebody in Congress to get them to push on it, because those requests, even in a Republican administration, oh, yeah, sure, we'll get to that. But if you got Lee Zeldin on the line, just say, hey, I just want a list of how these projects were used in Tennessee. Could you help me out there? And the answer is definitely yes.
Well, and here's go ahead, John.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, I mean, the only way they're going to be able to complete this and do it like they want to, there is going to be a bare knuckle hillbilly fist fight over this. And the president is going to know about it if he doesn't already. And I can't imagine that when he sees the details of what is going on here, that he's going to go, you know what, I don't see a problem with that. Go ahead and build it. I mean, Cheatham County voted for Donald Trump 75%. I mean, those are his people in that county. And when you watch that video on X at John Rich and you see the eyes of that old man.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Matt, what did you feel like when you saw the eyes of that old man with his wife sitting next to him and he's looking in the camera? He looks like Wilford Brimley. I mean, he is so intense.
It made me think of my grandpa. I'll be honest. It made me think of my grandpa and the powerlessness of people like that they feel. And I did a background check on, who the local officials are. And I'm sad to say the mayor of Chetum County, Kerry McCarver, he's just as powerless as the Wade family, right? I mean, he doesn't have any power to do anything about this because this is the big bad federal government, and they claim to listen, and they claim to care, and they don't seem to listen, and they don't seem to care. But I think that if the right people hear about this, we can put a stop to it. I really believe that.
Yeah, they claim to listen and they claim to care, and then they show up in a 90-year-old lady's driveway who has dementia and then sue the pants off of her. She's probably spending her Social Security money to hire the cheapest attorney she can get her hands on to try to defend herself for nothing. I mean, just to keep, like you said, the feds off of her land. This is the stuff they make movies about. This is not what America's supposed to look like, and you're right. This is a relic from FDR. This is a relic from a century ago. And something needs to happen on a federal level. There is no oversight on the TVA. I'd like to see them bust it up. I'd like to see the states take it state by state by state on this power grid that's been built, because it has not only wrecking, like they're trying to wreck Cheatham County. Guys, they've wrecked state after state, county after county for a century. And you're right. Sometimes you need an easement. Sometimes you need a dam built. Sometimes there's a real reason why you got to have it. But when you start dropping multi-100-acre footprints in the middle of Cheatham County, in between 5 public schools and a major waterway, and then you sue all the old people that don't want you to come on their land and drag them into a courtroom, I don't think so. So, yeah, hillbilly fist fight, get ready, pay-per-view. This is going down.
Well, I'm going to try to contact Don Mole, who is the new CEO of the TVA, and try to get him to answer to some of this. I mean, I don't know how far we'll get, but he's the brand new. He's a brand new CEO. He just got appointed April 9th.
If you get him on the phone, you better call me and have me on the phone while he's on the phone.
Absolutely.
I want to go toe to toe with him live on the air at WTN.
Well, we're going to find out just how far we can take this and how far we can go to try to protect some of these citizens. Once again, it's not a matter of John Rich and Cameron Smith and Matt Murphy being anti-power, anti-electricity, or whatever. It's a matter of speaking for those who cannot speak up for themselves, because the powerful government agency of the TVA has decided they're going to do this regardless of what the citizens of this state think about it, regardless of what the people of Cheatham County think about it. And I believe that we can put a voice to these folks and we can put a stop to this thing together. John, I'm happy that you brought this to my attention, to the people of Tennessee's attention, for those who are unaware of it. I know that Cheatham County thanks you for all of this, brother.
Well, it's my pleasure. And we're going to win this thing. Like I said, as they said back in the day, we have just begun to fight. And it is a fact. Less than 60 minutes ago, Lee Zeldin, head of the EPA, said, I am doing a deep dive on this right now. I'm going to hit you up tomorrow and let you know what I found out.
Let's
go, man. Let's fight.
Let's do it.
TVA.
I'm filling out the FOIA request right now.
Yeah, Cameron's doing the FOIA request as we speak, right, John. I love it.
Hey, TVA. Hey, big bad TVA. You're not the only ones out here who can take a punch.
That's right.
Let's see what else can happen. I mean, you really want to fight? Let's go fight. Let's fight, because this is worth fighting over. This is worth it.
John, thank you. Let me know what Lee Zeldin says, and thank you. I encourage people to go watch the video with the Wade family and John Rich on his X account, at John Rich. I have forwarded it on my X account, at Matt Murphy Show. And, John, we'll keep in touch on this. We're going to keep up.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a great afternoon.
All right, you do too. There's John Rich joining us for a few moments. We'll continue the conversation right after this. If you have any thoughts, 615-737-9986. I don't know of any justification of absolutely having to have this gas power plant, this methane gas power plant, where it is in Cheatham County. It's in the wrong place. It's at the wrong time. Needs to be stopped. We'll continue the discussion next. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. That's right. It's Matt Murphy for the Glock Store. We've been talking about this big open house event for a while now, like a month, and it is almost here. It's this Saturday, friends, from 10 until 2. I had somebody email me yesterday and say, hey, Murphy, I'm coming from 2 hours away, and y'all are talking about this place being packed. Am I going to be able to get in? And I said, you email me, and I'll get you in. If you're coming from 2 hours away, I will personally escort you through the palatial confines of the beautiful retail side of the Glock Store. They've got the manufacturing division, the retail side. They've got all of the shooting rooms, Neverland shooting rooms at the Glock Store. They'll have a full auto room. They'll have a Glock room set up. Their big room will be set up with vendors galore at the Glock Store, deals galore, raffles galore, speakers, and I'll be there as well. From 10 until 2 this Saturday, I could not be more excited about it. You need to be there too. It's at the Glock Store. Now, the Glock Store, you can find them glockstore.com. They're on Air Lane Drive, just off of Elm Hill Pike. That's just off of Briley Parkway. Go to the big, the beautiful, the one and only, the 5th annual open house at the Glock Store. Look, I've been telling you about it. Now we're in the thick of it. It is a summertime. I mean, I know the calendar doesn't say summer just yet, but you're feeling the heat, and we'll get into the 80s, and eventually it'll be into the 90s, and that's when the AC really starts working hard. If your AC is not doing exactly what you feel like it should, it's time for an AC check with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. If your AC is not ready, call Jeff Eddy. It can be hard to find people that you trust. And let me tell you, Jeff Eddy's not the biggest company around, but he's trustworthy. I've sat down with him, I've broken bread, and I know how Jeff does his business, and I believe in the way that he does his business. So if you need a second opinion on anything involving your AC, I would frankly want you to have Jeff Eddy as your first opinion, but even as a second opinion, they can provide you sage advice about exactly what to do. They're never going to recommend that you replace a unit that you can repair. Sadly, some companies do that because they make more money that way. Jeff Eddy doesn't do that because he believes in that relationship that lasts a lifetime. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Call them today. They're an elite pro partner with Rheem. They can help you when it comes time to replace. 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net.
The push to tighten screening for international students coming to the U.S. is discovering it's got some obstacles. Also, the escaped Arkansas prisoner and former police chief still on the run. Those and other stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So the background on this, in 2020, the mayor of Chetum County, Carrie McCarver, discovered the Tennessee Valley Authority bought about 280 acres of rolling farmland, quote, in the middle of nowhere in his county. They bought it. Fair and square, I suppose. And the Chetum County home to about 50, or at the time it was 42,000 people. I assume that they've gone up in population since then. The mayor of Chetum County, Kerry McCarver, who was then mayor and is still now mayor, asked another county official who worked for the TVA, the nation's largest public power company, to find out what they planned on doing with the land. You know what they told him? The mayor of Chetum County.
What?
Future use. Well, that was their response.
Future use.
Future use. And so McCarver immediately speculated that they might want the land for a solar farm. Carver said during an interview last year, it's the kind of thing we thought about. Then a year ago last summer, TVA called and said they needed a place to have a public meeting. The authority is now working on a 900-megawatt natural gas-fired power plant, battery storage, pipelines, and other associated infrastructure for the site. This comes as a shock to Mayor McCarver and many other local people who felt like not only is it wholly inappropriate, but it is unnecessary for the area. So they own the land, and they've not created a dynamic by which they've wanted eminent domain, but they're trying to seize other property, I'm assuming for easement to the land, to get to the land, to operate this stupid plan. So we'll get Cameron's reaction to all of this, your reaction to all of this. 32 after the hour, 615-737-9986. It's time for the news.
Yes, it is 32 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A forecast and a traffic report are on the way. More questions than answers so far in the push to tighten screening for international students coming to the U.S. The State Department has ordered embassies worldwide to pause the issuance of student visas until social media screenings of applicants are enhanced. ABC's Shannon Kingston reports further guidance is expected in the days ahead.
U.S. officials I've talked to say they are expecting this to be relatively short-lived, but that is doing very little to calm the concerns of foreign students who have already enrolled at universities here in the U.S. and are planning to start classes in just the next few months.
No credible leads yet in the ongoing manhunt for escaped Arkansas prisoner and former police chief Grant Hardin, at least so far here today. Bureau of Prison spokesperson Rand Champion told reporters about the search that's focused in the northern part of Arkansas.
One of the nice things in the Department of Corrections, we have a very robust canine search team, and those are being utilized as much as we can. Drones are being utilized, aircraft.
According to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, Newark Airport is experiencing little disruption. Crews are working to revamp its air traffic control facilities. Newark faced meltdowns earlier this month, and the FAA is working to replace some old wiring with fiber optic cables. And that is between New York and Philadelphia's air traffic control centers. The Transportation Department also asking Congress for more money, but Duffy wouldn't specify exactly how much in a news conference earlier.
How they find pathways to fund bills is in the purview of the Congress. And so I'm having conversations with them at a private level about what I think it could be, but I want them to actually pressure test our number. And I want to work with them on what they think the number is.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. In Madison, 65 northbound, the off-ramp to Old Hickory Boulevard, it's still partially blocked due to a wreck that's been there a while. 65 northbound after Wedgwood, just a little south of the city. We got a stalled vehicle there. All the lanes are open, but the shoulder is still blocked. Ellington Parkway northbound, just past Cleveland Street. Got a wreck there in East Nashville. And the right shoulder remaining blocked on 65 southbound at Interstate 440. We had a crash there earlier. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, I love eggs, but I don't think I would love eggs the way that I love eggs without Savory Spice. I'll be honest with you, because Savory Spice has different types of salt blends and different types of seasoning blends that go into your eggs that just make the eggs so much better, whether it's garlic salt or onion powder or whatever it might be. Celery salt's pretty good in the eggs. Let me tell you, that's just one of the items that I thank Savory Spice about every day of my life. Because Savory Spice just makes food better. Savory Spice is located just off Franklin Square, right next to Gray's Pharmacy in the heart of Franklin, Tennessee. They want to see you. Holly and David are the local owners of Savory Spice. They're great people, and they help you up your food game. I like to say you get to a point in your food game, right, where you want a better cut of meat. You want some better veggies, maybe from the farmer's market, and you need to up the spice game, too, because if you're using the same old clumpy spices that you got 5 years ago from the grocery store, you're doing it wrong. Get up with that spice game. Get to Savory Spice today. Plus, great gift-giving ideas for the cook in your life, and they have all of the spices at Savory Spice. Up the spice game at Savory Spice in the heart of Franklin. Do this today. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Matt Murphy Show continues. Thanks to John Rich. I hate that we had John on Zoom, and for some reason the camera wasn't working, so we didn't get to see him on Talk TV, but I hope you heard him well on the rest of our platforms, and we'll obviously have that up for you at the end of the show via our podcast section, 997WTN.com. Cameron Smith is in with us. So you got the FOIA request in.
It's in. The receipt is acknowledged.
Well, that's good news. Now, this property was purchased, but now there are some seizures that are going on in Ashland City and beyond in Chetum County as a result of a desire on the part of TVA. Now, the TVA's got a new head. Look, so this Lyash fella, he was the head of TVA until April of this year. Don Mole, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, M-O-U-L. You'd go Mole.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don Mole, as in mold. Don Mole is the new head of the TVA. He was selected by the board of directors on March 31st, and his appointment took effect on April 9th. Mole previously served as TVA's executive vice president and chief operating officer, so one would assume that he worked hand in hand with Lyash. So Jeff Lyash, you know how much he was making? I mean, this is just weird to me. I understand
$2
that
million
it's
a year.
I understand that it's an important utility.
How much?
$10.5 million a year.
Sweet.
Public utility paid for by our taxpayer. I mean, well, technically they claim that TVA pays for itself because they sell energy to other subsidiaries and then they provide it to millions and millions of homes. The salary did not go down when Don Mole took it over. Mole has a base salary of $1.2 million a year. However, his total compensation package was more than $10 million, primarily due to performance-based incentives and accrued benefit. Previously, Jeff Lyash's total compensation was $10.5 million, which included base salary of around $1.2 million. His total compensation included $5.3 million performance-based payout.
Look, more power to him for making the money, but my take on it is, why is this public?
I don't know. And this is not a new question. So you and I were talking offline about this. As I did a deep dive this morning, there have been questions about why the public utility is a function of the federal government for a long time. So long that Ronald Reagan, long before he was governor of California, I think this was in the early 1960s, was the host of General Electric Theater.
Right.
And he was involving himself in the political process to the point that he gave a speech while host of General Electric Theater. He gave a speech separate and apart from that job where he criticized the government's role in so many aspects of our daily life that they should not have. And he used TVA as an example of something that was not a proper function of the government, providing electricity to people, that should be a private sector function. And as a result, Ronald Reagan was fired from General Electric Theater because General Electric was a customer of TVA. And they didn't like what he had to say about TVA. So this has been going on for a long time. People have been questioning, why is this why is this owned by the federal government?
So I've questioned it, and when I worked in Congress, I questioned it. I said, well, this seems weird. And the response I got was, they make money. Why would you want to, get rid of a thing that's federally operated that makes money? Well, because it's not something the government needs to do?
Bingo. I mean, I'm sure if the government has a monopoly on certain aspects of our daily life, that they could make money on those monopolies as well.
Right.
I mean, is there fair competition with TVA? I would suggest no. I mean, right? I mean, so the government has a natural ability to operate differently than the private sector, which is why you don't want the government encroaching in private sector arenas like this.
TVA generated $2.9 billion in total operating revenues in the first quarter of 2025.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
And guess who paid for it? You and I. We paid for it. I mean, right? Ultimately.
Ratepayers do.
Sure they do. Marty is in Spring Hill with a thought on all of this. Hey, Marty, how are you?
I have lots of thoughts. $10.5 million a year. I mean, that sounds like a fun new project for Doge,
Lyash, his compensation included a significant performance-based payout, which was reduced by the TVA board to a 1-to-1 multiplier, aligning with other executives. He eventually was set to retire at the end of 2025, but left his role after Don Mole assumed the CEO position. So, I don't know.
There you have it. Hey, I got in on the last part of your conversation with John Rich, unfortunately. So I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to ask him or suggest to him. Has he thought about calling his good neighbor, Kid Rock, who has Donald J. Trump's phone number? They're golf buddies. That'd be a quick way to reach Donald, the Don.
Well,
maybe
might not be a bad idea. I mean, the more quickly we can get to Donald Trump, the better. I mean, I think it would be a simple matter of Donald Trump going ahead and appointing and getting approved the 5 open vacancies on the TVA board and having a relook at all of their current projects that are going on.
Of course. Yeah, man. Well, I just wanted to throw that out. Kid, if you're listening, you need to talk to your neighbor, John. John, if you're listening, you need to talk to your neighbor, Kid. And I'll see you at the Glock store this weekend.
We'll see you this weekend starting at 10 a.m. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Marshall is next in Fairview. Hello, Marshall.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for calling.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
Yeah, I was just calling in because you guys have been, and I don't know if you've talked about this, but it's not just Davidson County that's dealing with a property tax increase. And I hate to follow that story with John Rich, but anyway, it was on my mind. So I just wanted to call and give you guys some details.
Yes,
go for
absolutely.
it.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Williamson County, we're facing probably a tax increase too, probably not to the extent of Nashville and Davidson County, but it is coming with the property tax. And with most of us getting a 50 to 60% property tax assessment increase.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting whacked with it.
Well, and you know that the state requires that the county decrease their rate to level out or equalize the amount that you pay. So,
right.
In other words, the state requires that Williamson County has to go down on their rate to make the amount you paid last year the same as the amount you'll pay this year. The only way that your payment will go up, Marshall, is if they go up on the rate after they're forced to go down on it. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, I know that. And Williamson County more than likely is going to go up on the rate.
Yep.
The Fairview, the city I live in, word is they're going to adopt a certified rate. So we should stay pretty even here in Fairview. But Nolensville is, and I don't know when their public hearing is, but they're going up. They're going to adopt an increased rate in Nolensville. So it's hitting all of us.
Oh, tell me about it. My property taxes, the raw dollar value that are actually going to go up, it's going to cost me about $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I've seen Cameron's house. I have no I have no sympathy.
No sympathy?
None whatsoever.
Well, my deal is that, like, they say public services. Like, here's a great one in Nolensville. They're like, well, we need to have all the fire resources and pay for the fire stations. You know what they did in Nolensville as a matter of code? All of us have sprinkler systems in our houses.
What?
All of us. I have a sprinkler system inside my house.
Why?
So if something, because they didn't have a fire department. So they made it code that you must have a sprinkler system. So I have a sprinkler system, and yet we got to raise my taxes to pay for the fire department to come and be like, yep, your sprinkler went off and stopped the fire.
Nice.
Awesome.
You know what you need to use those taxes for? Widen that main thoroughfare down there through Nolensville. Man, oh man, that's awful.
We prefer getting stuck behind tractors. Okay.
Okay. Marshall, duly noted. Keep us apprised to the Williamson County efforts, buddy. I hate to limit the conversation on that front, but it is something that we ought to be paying attention to, not just in Davidson County, but in the surrounding communities. And is this a done deal? I mean, the citizens of Nolensville are like, okay, we accept it?
No. People are absolutely raising
upset?
Cain about
Good.
it. They're ticked off. It's, the challenge is, this is the problem with government. If you want the goodies, you got to pay for them. If you don't want the goodies, you can keep your taxes low. It doesn't work to get the goodies and keep your taxes low. And that's where...
when you become the federal government.
Right. That's where, Williamson County's like, we want all the goodies. We don't want to give you any money. Well, you better go to Washington and ask them for borrowed money.
What is up with that road? I mean, every Saturday...
Nolensville Pike?
Any Saturday that I go to... Is it 31 or 41? I always forget. I do the numbers. I don't do the Pike. But, yeah, it's Nolensville
31.
Pike.
Yeah.
I go down there, and it's like bumper to bumper. What's going on?
It's the place to be, Matt. Have you been to the Amish feed mill? Do you know the goodies that are there?
I'm reminded of the old Yogi Berra quote. Oh, no. That place is so busy, nobody goes there anymore.
Right. I mean, we'll have, if you hadn't been to the Buttercup Festival,
And what are they building? The Publix out there?
Yeah, man. It's going to get wild.
Yeah.
We're going to get groceries and a Chipotle.
You got a Starbucks down there?
I don't know. We're not fancy like that, but a Chipotle.
You got a Sonic.
Yeah, we
got a Sonic.
Friday nights after those football games, you come on down and to use 1990s parlance, we get crunk.
Bougie down there.
Get wild.
Sherry, Jimmy, Nanette, I think that's a first. And Kim, we're going to get to each of you coming up. Plus, we are going to talk about booty britches.
Yes.
Women's booty britches in the 6 o'clock hour. It is a question that Cameron and I need to ask of the ladies in the audience.
Yes, and AI. We did that.
Cameron asked AI and got some interesting answers. I told him not to tell me what they were until we were live on the air with this subject. So we'll get to the TVA first and booty britches second. It's 51 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, Shane Ring and Cover Nash is a local company that can help assist you in finding out if you're paying too much on your health insurance. It's as simple as that. Are you satisfied with your health insurance? Do you know? I mean, do you know what they cover? Do you know where your gaps might be? Shane knows, and Shane can assist you right here in Middle Tennessee. His offices are located in Brentwood. He's ready to see you in person or on the phone. He can show you how to access in real time the cost of medical procedures that might come up in your life and how much you might be overpaying for said same. I've sat down in Shane's office and I've talked with him and learned so much. I mean, sadly, most insurance agents, they work for insurance companies. So you're not their customer. You're not their ally. The ally is with the insurance company, and they're trying to sell you the product. Well, with Shane Ring and Cover Nash, you're the customer, and they are going to shop the entire insurance market and find out the right place for you to be. That's what it's all about with Shane Ring and Cover Nash. So give him a call today at 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com.
President Trump expressing continued frustration with the Russian president. And a jewelry heist in Southern California comes away with quite the haul. We'll fill you in on that and other stories at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm told by our executive producer of the Matt Murphy Show, Chris Weber, that it's time to talk on the radio now. And remind you that not only do we have Booty Britches coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, but a robust session of nincompoops in the news.
They could be related.
I did not forget about nincompoops in the news totally.
I feel like I'm a distraction.
We got a lot going on.
I feel like Matt's shirt is a distraction.
Well, I mean, that's true, too. I got a lot going on. You know what? I got accused of since when did a colorful shirt become the gay pride flag?
Since the beginning of time.
Somebody on the jerky chat, on the YouTube chat, said, man's wearing a gay pride.
Oh, it does have rainbows on
it. That was on the super text line.
Literally, you have rainbow arms.
Guess what? Rainbow is in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Bible promoting the gay pride flag?
What?
Is it?
No.
Is it? Okay,
no.
then my shirt isn't either.
You have a biblical Hawaiian shirt.
My shirt is promoting the Bible. And the rainbow promise that God made that we would never flood the earth again.
We?
God.
Yes, him.
Mm-hmm.
That guy.
That he would never flood the earth again. So there you go. I got a great nincompoop too. It's ripped from the headlines, nincompoop in the news, involving a woman on a plane smacking a kid. And oh, by the way, I'm with the woman. I'm with the woman. How about that?
My wife said I couldn't use those electronic dog training collars on the boys. That was a downer.
When did she say that?
Every time I asked her.
Some months ago?
Yeah.
I bet there's
They're
an
getting
occasion.
bigger. You need a bigger charge to get their attention.
I bet there's an occasion that she regrets it.
Yeah.
She's like, I should have let him. All right, Nincompoop's coming up. Sherry, you're coming up first. Jimmy, Nanette, and Kim. Nobody's more important than you four, and we'll get to you next hour. We're going to get to Nincompoops. We're going to get to booty tights, which is something I never thought I'd say on the radio, but here we are. Me in my rainbow flag shirt talking about booty tights.
Okay, rainbow arms. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. We will. It's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good evening. It's 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast and a traffic report are coming up. President Trump is signaling more frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin over the war in Ukraine. The president talked to both Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky recently, but the restarting of talks to end the war has just not really gone anywhere. Zelensky says he is willing to meet with both Putin and Trump, and the Russians also say they're ready for talks to begin. During the swearing-in ceremony today for former prosecutor and judge Jeanine Pirro as the interim U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., the president says he wants to see cooperation and an end to the fighting.
I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that.
Now out in California, police in Simi Valley are investigating a jewelry store heist that netted the burglars over $2 million worth of goods. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
When the owners of Five Star Jewelry arrived at work, you can hear them in shock to find everything gone. Surveillance video shows burglars army crawling through a next-door candy shop and cutting through a wall before midnight on Sunday. They cut through concrete and 8 inches of safe. Jonathan Youssef is the owner's son.
Everything that he built for me and my family, is now gone.
He says the thieves snuck out with about $2 million worth of merchandise and took off into the night.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, an undercover operation by Metro Nashville police detectives led to the arrest of a teenager armed as a robbery suspect, an armed robbery suspect in West Nashville. News 2 reports that undercover officers were on patrol Tuesday near a Subway on Old Hickory Boulevard in response to a series of armed robberies at the restaurant. Officials said a silver car driven by 19-year-old Keyshawn Johnson stopped in a nearby apartment complex parking lot, and he got out of the vehicle, then walked around to the back of the restaurant building, and he was wearing all black clothing and had a ski mask. He waited for all the customers to leave, and then he was captured on surveillance video going into the restaurant and pointing a pistol and demanding money. The cashier attempted to stall the robbery, and when that happened, Johnson reportedly grabbed the cash from over the counter and took off. A Metro Police helicopter followed that silver car, which was registered to Johnson. Then detectives performed a tactical takedown in a parking lot on Clarksville Pike. And inside the car, police found the money, a ski mask, and a loaded gun. Court documents said during an interview with detectives, Johnson said, "Yep, I did it. I took the money." That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. .65 northbound, the off-ramp to Old Hickory Boulevard, it's still partially blocked. We had a crash there some time ago. 65 southbound at Interstate 440, the right shoulder still blocked there due to an earlier accident. Nolensville Pike at Elysian Fields Road. We have an injury crash there, and in the West End area, West End Avenue, just west of 31st Avenue, there's a crash. And in Antioch Pike, north of Haywood Lane, we have got an accident there as well. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Cameron Smith is along for the ride as well, as is Chris Webber, as is Jay Harper. We've got a robust round of nincompoops in the news, late though it may be, coming up in just a few minutes. 7 minutes after the hour, are we going to include booty britches and nincompoops? Is that kind of how we're going to do it?
Yeah, probably have to do it after. It won't flow. It won't flow.
Okay. We'll get to that after we get to your telephone calls, 615-737-9986. A big-time show today. We had Andy Ogles, his return trip to the Matt Murphy Show, reunited, and it felt so good. Reunited, and you knew it would. Congressman Andy Ogles and Matt Murphy together again. That will be podcast a little bit later on. And then John Rich, who, due credit, brought this story to my attention. I vaguely remember seeing a story about this and really thinking nothing of it. And it's TVA taking over a lot of acreage in Chetum County and essentially pushing Chetum County residents around for their own purposes. And now they're saying that it's going to be a methane gas power plant there. And really no reason given by TVA as to why it has to be around 5 schools and a lot of elderly folks and a lot of families there in Chetum County, close to Nashville. We'll try to get to the bottom of it for you and get some of your stories in here as we continue the final hour of the show. 615-737-9986. Jimmy is in McEwen. Hey, Jimmy. How are you?
Hello, Matt. Long-time listener, first-time caller. And before I get started, I just want to say when Phil Valentine passed away, I just felt like there was a big hole in my life, not to sound corny, but you came along, man, and you've done a pretty good job of filling that void for me, and I appreciate it. Just want to tell you that.
Jimmy, thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Well, sir, I worked for TVA for 44 years. I worked in the generation side until from 1980 to 2008, and the transmission side from 2008 until 2016, and then 2016 I went over to the combustion turbines and worked until I retired in 2024. And power production, try to be as simple as I can. Power production has more to it than just putting power on the line. You have to deliver that power within a certain voltage range. And under heavy usage, depending on what type of electric usage it is, the voltage can sag before the actual amps do. So you have to deliver what's called a reactive power to keep the voltage up. My guess is the reason that they want to put that plant is for voltage support, because they have shut 8 of the 11 steam plants down, and they didn't have adequate replacement power before they just in a big hurry shut it down. And as far as getting somebody's attention, Matt, you have access to our senators. One phone call from each one of those senators to Mr. Mole will get that stopped. I guarantee it.
Well, we're going to try to contact Marsha Blackburn and Bill Haggerty's offices to see what they have to say about this, if there's any comment from them. And we just asked them, what side are you on here? Do you agree with TVA, and if so, why? And if not, what are you going to do to help us put at least a pause on what's going on to figure out what the hell's happening here? That's all I want to know. And you just put a fine point on it. So you're saying that because they decided to close down so many of the steam plants, there's a gap in the voltage levels that they can maintain in given communities?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense, but at the same time, they don't feel any need to be in front of this to explain any of this to our community. And it's because they are such a powerful entity that they're answerable to no one.
Well, when I first started working for TVA in 1980, it was Tennessee people that ran TVA, but now they have seen fit to bring in these outsiders from all these surrounding power companies, and basically what they do, instead of charting their own course like they used to and being sensitive to the needs of the public, they just basically go out and benchmark and just do what everybody else is doing.
Which begs the question of why do we need them to be run by the government?
Bingo. Bingo.
Well, that's one side of it. Yeah.
Jimmy, God bless you. Thank you for the good knowledge and your life experience working in that field. And thank you for the kind words, man. I appreciate. I don't deserve them, but I appreciate them.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
take care. I appreciate you. Someone says Marsha Blackburn is on the board of TVA. Not according to my information. There are 9 positions on the board on TVA. The chairman is William Rennick. I have board member Beth Gear, board member Robert Klein, board member Adam Wade White, and 5 vacancies as of May 9th, which obviously was a few weeks ago. That was in the aftermath of the appointment of Don Moll. And I'm now being told that Moul is pronounced Moll.
Okay.
I mean, as in destroy us with claws. So, duly noted. Nanette is next in Chetum County, who lives nearby where all of this is going down. Nanette, thank you for your call. How are you?
Hey, thanks for pointing everything out that's going on out here. I will say, the gentleman's comments, we have stood in front of personally Marsha Blackburn and all of our representatives, and they run like chickens. They will do nothing. They don't want to talk about it. And I will tell you this, that TVA has been less than truthful from day one. We've been fighting this very hard for 2 years. I just live across the street from the property, and here's something you need to know that is the most important thing. These people don't care about us. They are cold and calculated, and they're on the verge, if they make this happen, to displace thousands of people, thousands, not just a few hundred. We have century farms here. We have entire families living down the road from each other. There are family cemeteries right around me. There's 5 family cemeteries. They're going to sit on top of the water supply for the entire town of Pleasant View, 5 schools and within 5 miles. And we are so grateful to John Rich because, we've been screaming for 2 solid years, putting up our time and our money and our efforts. And if this were next to you or anyone else, you'd be screaming bloody murder because you wouldn't say that it's the right thing to do. They don't need to put this here. They really don't. They've just put their finger on a map. Nobody has hardly come out here from TVA to look at this property. We've had, investigators and their studies, and they're here for, an hour, and then they say, no, there's nothing on this. They told us there's nothing of historical value here that matters. We don't matter. Now, this company, I'm going to call it a company. It's part of the government, but it's a 10,000-strong employee company, and they have to feed the monster, so they don't care about us here. So thank you.
Well, Nanette, we care about you. And
I appreciate it
we're
greatly.
We're going to do everything in our power to shine a light on this. I don't know where all of this goes and where it ends, but we're going to make people declare where they are on all of this.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I think what John is doing has been, and being able to talk to people like you is the most that's happened since. We are so tired. We are so, lost as to, it's a terrible thing to be an American and to think that you don't own anything. You do not own anything. And there's, any of us are vulnerable to this. So that's what everybody needs to know that's hearing my voice. This is not just about some strangers out there in the, countryside.
How many people, Nanette, you're out there,
Yeah.
you talk to your neighbors on a daily basis. I don't mean to interrupt your thought, but how many people would you say are going to be directly affected by that? I mean, directly affected by this? Hundreds, thousands?
Thousands, and I'll tell you why. They'll start and they won't tell us exactly what's going on. And then they'll say, you can put up with the noise and stuff. But I've had TVA employees stand with me. I brought them out here on the street. And I said, tell me, are we going to be able to live here? And they shook their head, no. And if you go to other plants like the Gleason plant, I think there used to be a town there. There's one person left, an 80-some-year-old man who said he would run. That's what his advice to us was, run, because they'll take everything, and they did. They had to have a class action suit. Don't quote me on Gleason. I think it was Gleason, where an entire town had to do a class action suit, and there's no town left. There's nobody left. So please, everybody listening, understand This is not a small deal. And yeah, we need energy, but not this way. They have places they can put this. They're going to have to run miles of gas pipelines way out here to this place and then shoot the electricity back to Nashville. Why? They're going to have to run miles of electric lines, even through Robertson County. People there in Robertson County losing their properties. And why? Please tell me why. They have to take our properties before they even have a final approval of this plant. Why? It's backwards.
We're going to get to the bottom of some of these questions, Nanette. Keep listening and keep keep the faith, because I think this is far from over now. It's well down the road, sadly. Apparently, this story started way back in 2020, thereabouts. At least that's the earliest story that I can find on this, where the mayor of Chetum County was confused about what TVA wanted to do with some property that it bought, 285 acres. Well, now we're seeing what the master plan was all along. It feels like they keep it as quiet as possible for as long as possible. They hold public hearings, but they do the least amount of advertising of said public hearings possible because they don't want to shine the light of attention on any of this. They would just as soon bully it through, bully the people that they don't consider have a voice or can speak out against them, declare that they're from the government and you'll listen to them whether you like it or not, and be done with it. Well, we the people run the government, last I checked. And, we try.
Well,
we do our best.
I think it's appropriate to shine a light and ask questions. It doesn't mean that they can't demonstrate why this is absolutely necessary, but it means that they should.
Well, and one of my issues with all of this is I tried to find the answer to that very question. My first question after listening to John and watching his 5-minute video on his X page was, okay, why does this have to be there?
What's the other side of the story here?
Right. And I can't find it anywhere. Cannot find anywhere where they explain why it has to be where it is.
Well, the public good, Matt.
Right. I mean, the best answer I've had was from the gentleman that called that said that he used to work for TVA and he talked about voltage levels. Well, that makes sense. But is that the reason?
General welfare.
And the promotion thereof. We shall promote nincompoops.
Let's do
next on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. Let's talk about your European automobile. Do you have a European car? Then you probably already know about Eurofix. If you've just gotten one and you're looking for the best place around, might I recommend Eurofix? Because Eurofix is the finest in the business. They have a very different business philosophy and have for the 26 years that they've been in business. It's why they're growing by leaps and bounds. It's why they have 5 separate locations in 26 years. Aaron Stokes believes that he ought to and does staff his establishments with a few more folks than maybe he absolutely needs. Why? Because he doesn't want you waiting around when an emergency pops up. If you've noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair, particularly European auto repair, you're not alone. Some dealers simply demand that you wait 2 weeks or more for an appointment. Not so at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999. 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Call Eurofix today at 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or go to myEurofix.com. myEurofix.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Eurofix.
President Trump raising a few eyebrows as he names a controversial senior Justice Department official for an appeals court post. And we'll also have today's closing money news. That's coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. Speaking of controversy, we are late to do nincompoops in the news, and we've got 6.5 or thereabouts minutes to get it done in this segment. And I say we go for it. Let's do this. Nincompoops in the news, friends.
Nincompoops in the news.
That's right. It's our opportunity to highlight those nincompoops that live and breathe among us, whether they be across the state of Tennessee, around the United States of America, or across the globe. We find them, we present them to you, and you get the opportunity to vote on your nincompoop of the day. Will it be Chris Webber? Will it be Jay Harper? Will it be Cameron Smith? Will it be Matt Murphy? I don't know. Let's find out together. Jay, because I know you've got actual news to do in about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to allow you to go first. Your nincompoop, sir?
Okay, I'll give this a try. All right. Well, you would think if you're going to burglarize a place, you want to pick the right place. Ideally, perhaps maybe an empty home or what have you. Well, this guy, he targeted a home all right, but as it turns out, as he was trying to break in, the home had been broken into by somebody else earlier in the day, and the place was full of cops. So he breaks in, and there's all these cops there. And
that's pretty good.
Well, and to make it even dumber, he had tried to rob another home earlier in the day, and he cut himself, and he left blood everywhere. So they were able to trace him to that robbery as well after they caught him breaking into a home full of cops investigating a previous burglary.
Burglary 101 shouldn't it be make sure no one's there?
Yeah.
And
especially cops.
Yeah, most especially men and women in uniform with badges and guns.
Wow. The guy's named Darren Kempton, and not quite sure where this occurred, but there's your story.
Man, oh man, that's pretty good. Mr. Cameron, you want to follow that up?
I mean, that is a tough one to get after, but I'll do my best.
All right.
Polk County Sheriff's, I went Florida man again. It's always this. Polk County Sheriff's Office deputies began searching for Timothy Schultz, 42, just before 6 a.m. after a convenience store clerk reported he was acting bizarre. Deputies spent about 40 minutes looking for him. Schultz then began swimming in an alligator-infested lake. Nearby residents told officials. A witness tried to throw Schultz a life preserver, and another witness said Schultz growled at them when they tried to help.
Growled at them.
Growled. Witnesses told deputies an alligator was spotted close to him as he swam across the lake. Schultz emerged from the lake with an apparent alligator bite and began walking between houses while holding a pair of garden shoes.
I don't know how
shears,
that happened.
sorry, garden shoes.
Oh, garden shears?
Like the sharp things.
Uh-huh.
Police said he then used a brick to attempt to break into a resident's truck. A witness told detectives they saw the suspect run at deputies with the shears. He was tased twice, but it didn't stop him. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said he climbed into the passenger side of a patrol vehicle trying to get a deputy's rifle. That's when two deputies, identified as a trainee and his trainer, opened fire on the suspect, killing him.
Oh, my
Judd
goodness.
said Schultz had a lengthy criminal history that included several arrests for methamphetamine.
Yeah.
I recall us having a discussion about whether or not we should include stories where people die at the end.
I was not part of this discussion, but imagine you're high as a kite.
He deserved it.
You get into an alligator lake. You get bitten.
Yeah.
You survive.
Bad
grab
day.
garden shears. Go
Yeah.
after the cops and get shot. Just
He had
a
all
rough
that
one.
against him, but he went out and got himself killed. He didn't quit, I guess.
I mean, God bless him. He found himself on Nincompoops in the News as a kind of a...
And that's why you don't do meth.
Little swan song there. Wow. Mr. Weber?
A Charleston personal injury attorney was arrested after police say he was downtown yelling at the top of his lungs with no clothes on. William Mullins McLeod Jr. was charged with public disorderly conduct and booked into the the Al Cannon Detention Center.
Yeah, that's Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah. An incident report from the Charleston police states an officer was in the area when they observed McLeod walking along the Battery screaming. He was wearing only his underwear and shoes during the incident, according to the report. Officers say they confronted McLeod, who began rambling incoherently, After placing him in the handcuffs, officers tried to identify him, but McLeod reportedly told him he was, quote, Superman and God.
Oh.
Due to the fake names and not having ID, McLeod was placed under arrest. While en route to the jail, police say McLeod continued to yell about vague historic events as well as various people in his life. On arrival, McLeod reportedly refused to exit the vehicle and said he wanted to sleep inside the vehicle.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Officers noticed McLeod's eyes were extremely bloodshot and highly dilated, and he was sweating profusely. One of the officers said the symptoms were typical of someone under the influence of a stimulant. Jail records show McLeod was released the next day on his own personal recognizance. This guy served 2 terms as the chair of the Charleston County Democratic Party and actually ran for governor.
That tracks.
In 2010.
That absolutely tracks.
So apparently he's taking a turn.
I was living in Charleston in 2010. I don't know that name. I mean, running for any office.
I can't imagine that he
must not have done too well.
Wouldn't have gotten any traction, considering that story. All right, I know Jay's got to do the real news, so I'll give you mine real quick.
I'm good.
This is ripped from the headlines from this past Memorial Day. A female passenger has been charged with child abuse for attacking a child on an aircraft who called her fat and Miss Piggy. This on a flight home from Disney World, according to airport police. Though the exact relationship between Christy Crampton and the boy is not clear, they were a part of the same group returning home to Maryland from their Disney trip when she was arrested Monday at Sanford Orlando International Airport, according to airport police. Crampton started swinging at the child just before takeoff when he told Crampton that she was too fat to sit in the seat. She punched him and then hit him in the head with a water bottle. The kid then called her Miss Piggy before she slammed the kid's head into the airplane window as he tried to block her blows. The pilot called police for help, and Crampton was eventually taken into custody at the gate. Crampton told police the child was, quote, rude and disrespectful during their Disney trip and beyond. After the child called her fat on the plane, Crampton took his phone away. He then she started smacking him after he twice shoved her arm off the armrest. At least that was her story. However, a witness told police the woman was not correcting the child. She was abusing the child. Their relationship not immediately clear. The family has declined to provide any written statement to police. Crampton was charged with felony child abuse. She appeared in the Seminole County Courthouse Tuesday, where a judge granted her release on $10,000 bond. She was ordered to have no contact with the child. I am on the record as saying I am firmly in this woman's camp.
Come here, you little...
I mean,
you little...
By the way, I've seen a photo of her. This lady's beefy, but she's not like morbidly obese. She could lose a few pounds, but she's not
full-figured.
I mean, yeah, she's big in the hip, Ken. Jay, she's big in the hip. Okay. Roomy, as they say.
Yeah. I've told my boys, you don't talk about mama's age, mama's weight. You know, you say nice things about mama if you want to live.
I mean, my grandpa taught me a basic lesson in life. Just go through life understanding that certain things tote an ass whipping.
This is facts.
Sage
right?
advice, yeah.
Right? And I think this was one of them. So if I was on this woman's jury, there's zero chance that she would be convicted of anything, in my opinion. There you go. That's Nincompoops in the News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Vote Jay or Matt. Vote Chris or Matt. Vote Cameron or Matt. Or vote Matt. There you go.
Not gonna work.
No, I don't think it is either. I think there's a firm leader right now, at least in my estimation.
Well, my guy got shot, so that's
and killed.
A downer.
I know, that is kind of a downer. 33 after the hour. It's time for the news on Super Talk.
Good evening, 33 minutes past 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got a forecast and a traffic report upcoming. President Trump is tapping a controversial senior Justice Department official for an appeals court post overseeing the federal courts in Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New York. Stephen Portnoy has the story.
Emil Bove served as Donald Trump's personal lawyer in 2 of his criminal trials. Since January, he's been serving as the principal deputy attorney general. Now the president says he'll nominate Bove for a lifetime appointment on the Third Circuit Appeals Court. Senate Democrats are sure to focus on Bove's moves at the Justice Department, including his role in dropping the case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Bove ordered the corruption charges dropped as Adams agreed to back tougher immigration enforcement in the city. The move led several Justice Department officials to resign.
Now let's turn to today's closing money news with Wayne Cabot.
Stocks all ending in the red today. The Dow closing 244 points down, the S&P losing 33 points, and the Nasdaq notching a 98-point loss. Investors anxiously await the QT earnings announcement from computer chip manufacturer NVIDIA. Earlier, Macy's reported better than expected profits this quarter, but slashed its full-year profit forecast in the wake of President Trump's tariffs. The Department of Labor rescinding its 2022 guidance on discouraging fiduciaries from including cryptocurrency options in 401k retirement plans. The agency saying this move, quote, reaffirms its neutral stance, neither endorsing nor disapproving of fiduciaries who conclude that the inclusion of cryptocurrency is appropriate. Ford is issuing a new recall targeting more than 1 million vehicles over a rear-view camera issue, including some Bronco, F-150, and Escape models made between 2021 through 2024.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. As we get to another traffic report for you, things have started to clear out a bit here, thank goodness. We have one accident to report, Nolensville Pike at Elysian Fields Road. As far as congestion goes, things beginning to clear out 65 northbound as you approach Vietnam Vets. Once you also get past Long Hollow Pike, things begin to clear out there as well. And we still have a little bit of volume delay at the 440-24 East Junction. But once you get past Harding Place, things start to clear out there on your way to Murfreesboro. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon, and every morning for that matter on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you are a business owner, your time is incredibly important. I don't have to tell you that. As a business owner, you already know. When you have IT issues, you want those issues solved like right now. You don't need some call center on the other side of the world or a chat box to fix it. You want a human being on the phone. At Alpha and Omega Computer Consultation, local experts and real people answer your phone call every single time. You heard me correctly. Even if you do have an IT person on staff, what happens if he or she take vacation or a sick day? What if your system goes down while they're out of pocket? You need a backup plan, and you get that backup plan with Alpha and Omega Computer Consultation. Michael and his team are local to Middle Tennessee. I love what they do, 24/7 protection from evolving threats, compliance for all industries, business continuity, and a local help desk that really is local and really does help. Emergency services are available but rarely needed with Alpha and Omega because they protect you from start to finish 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're a business owner, let's get with this. Let's get with Alpha and Omega Computer Consultation. Every bit of your IT and security needs can be provided with one stop at Alpha and Omega. Go to ANO.net. That's ANO.net. Call Michael today, 615-784-0096. 784-0096 for Alpha and Omega.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A lot of votes for Matt Murphy. A lot of them. I vote Matt. That kid deserved an ass whipping.
Well, I think all of us can relate to some snotty kid on an airplane.
Called her Miss Piggy.
Yeah,
Called her Miss Piggy.
And you want to just backhand him, you know?
And a lot of votes for Matt Murphy, but that doesn't mean that Matt Murphy won because, in fact, Jay Harper has won the day.
Oh, wow.
Nicely done.
See what I did? I turned it there.
I don't want to thank Larry for voting for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did Larry vote for you?
He did.
Well,
Yeah,
I got
I see that there.
Yeah, well, that's nice. The alligator guy sounds more like a Darwin Award winner.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Said
That's
Mario,
good.
which is fair. I mean, when somebody dies, John says I'd bet the crap out of that kid. Pretty sure he meant beat.
Yeah. Wouldn't bet on that one. He may not survive real long.
Let's talk about the most important issue of the day: booty tights.
Yep.
So, Cameron and I do a podcast. One is dropping tonight at 7:00, called All the Best Words. You can find it on Apple Music. You can find it on 997WTN.com. You can also find it on YouTube. Look for the Super Talk 997 WTN podcast page and then find All the Best Words within that and watch all the episodes, like and subscribe. In the context of our latest podcast, you brought to my attention a relatively new phenomenon.
Yes.
Tell everyone about it.
So the word was bounce, and I'm not going to go into the words. You got to listen to why I said bounce.
That's right.
But let's just say it involves my boys and I noticing a trend in women's tights, that something is different about them. Tights used to be tight. Now tights are something else entirely. So
it's like tights and a thong met and
had a baby. Yeah.
And so now tights go up in there.
So I actually did the logical thing. Is I decided to ask AI, what's going on here? What's happening with these new tights? And the results were, well, it was illuminating.
Okay, so the question that you asked artificial intelligence was what?
What's happening with women's tights? They seem tighter. They almost lift and separate the butt cheeks. Was there a recent fashion change? And
legit question.
Fair. Yes.
I appreciate the question. Let's hear the answer, Cameron.
It appears you've noticed a real trend in the world of women's tights and leggings. And with an exclamation point. That's the opener.
Well,
you're right. There's a significant trend towards tights and leggings designed to lift, sculpt, and enhance the wearer's silhouette, particularly in the gluteal area.
Oh, yeah. Gluteal. the bootay.
The next line is my favorite. This isn't just your imagination. Many brands are now specifically engineering their products with features like targeted compression, fabrics and construction techniques that provide a booty boost or butt lift, contoured waistbands and seams, designs that shape and define the rear, sometimes creating a separating effect, performance fabrics, materials that offer both support and flexibility, contributing to a sculpted look. So I'm learning. And it says brands like, and look, I'm a dude, so I don't know these. I know what Spanx is. I've heard of Spanx.
I've heard of Spanx.
Halara and Moose Lover.
Say what?
MOOSLOVER.
I'm sorry?
I would not wear something that was called Moose Lover.
Cameron, I would like for you to know that this is a family show, but it's not really, so I can't say that. So anyway, go ahead.
Spanx, Halara, and Moose Lover, among many others, explicitly market leggings with...
Moose Lover is an actual brand name of...
I kid you not. It's right there. Science. But they offer butt lifting capabilities. And they even offered some of the broader fashion trends that are there. They said, visible waistbands, lace, and fishnet styles are being incorporated, aligning with the, quote, lingerie as outerwear trend.
Oh, well.
Oh, I
did
not know that was a trend.
I can get behind. Have either of you, Jay or Chris, noticed this phenomenon?
Absolutely.
I have certainly, yes. I have certainly noticed it, but I did not realize that it was due to the garment actually creating that effect. I just thought it was some really
tight,
well-sculpted ladies.
Tights.
So it all concludes this report with, so yes, the tighter, more lifting and separating fit you've observed in women's tights is a recognized development in current fashion.
Do you wear boxer briefs?
Yes.
I wear boxer briefs.
It's the only way to go.
The only way to go. There was a time where you had tighty-whities and you had boxer shorts, which were loose-fitting, and that's all you had. Boxer briefs came along, changed the world.
Yes, I, too, am a boxer brief fellow.
You want to
4 for 4, baby.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the way to go, right?
Yep.
So boxer briefs are the way to go. You fellas ever get the boxer briefs kind of up in there for a hot minute? You got to get them out.
If they lift and separate my butt, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm not doing it.
And I know this is more of a boy deal, but I don't.
Nope.
No, sir.
No.
Well, you got to think though that the ladies nowadays are used to wearing thongs, right? So they're used to having something in there.
I get it.
I will never be conditioned to having something in my butt crack.
No.
That's just not going to happen.
Ain't nothing going up there.
No. I don't care if you are a moose lover.
That's a torture mechanism.
No moose lovers come near me.
I hesitate to ask, but I would love to hear from the women on this subject.
Me too. What has bewitched us? I mean, this doesn't. Should we pass regulations here to, we got to stay on top of this.
There are several of you that are suggesting new names for brands of these items, and we're not. I understand your desire to pick a different animal other than moose. I get it. Right. We're not going to go there.
Yes, I see 2862. That I must admit that is
2862. That's a good. And the one below there, 2637.
Yeah, not too bad either.
Yes.
Sally said they had to choose Moose Lover as the brand name because Fat Pig Lover was already taken.
I suppose. So, yeah, I'm not knocking it, but I just don't get it. I don't understand how, and I guess it's just a different world that they live in. And like Chris said, those that have worn thongs all of their adult life, they are accustomed to something being up in there anyway, so they don't really mind, I suppose.
I don't know. I just know that the young men in my life were like, Dad.
What are you supposed to do with it?
What are we supposed to do? Let me
tell you, though, around here, around these parts, around where we are at the butt end, no pun intended, of Music Row, some of these folks that run down the street, when they wear these kind of pinky or fleshy colored tights like that, and it doesn't look like they have any drawers on, Cameron.
You do a double take. I'm with you.
Yeah.
With you, Matt.
I've seen it too.
I'm all about raising young men who are responsible over their urges and are trying to be gentlemen, but dadgum. Knowing that this is indeed a fashion trend, that our senses are under assault due to shaping and sculpting of silhouettes.
9506 goes to the heart of the all the best words when they say they definitely grab your attention. I feel bad for dudes. Maybe 9506 is a female because they say, how are they not supposed to stare? And that's the entire point of the conversation, without trying to give too much of the podcast away. It's the entire point of the conversation that you had with your young men, because they're like, you're raising them right.
Yep.
We're taught not to stare, but these things are begging you to stare at them. It's very much like the low-cut cleavage showing tops. Like, okay, at what point am I being a creep? But at the same time, you're asking me to look.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
It's a lot like you in that Hawaiian shirt.
Sure.
Same, really.
Oh, hey, eyes up here, Cameron. Eyes are up here.
The rainbows are getting to me.
I see you looking. I see you looking at my little boat.
I can't not.
Looking at my little boat floating away on the water.
Yep. Guys, you're killing me on the text line.
With your little boat.
Yeah. See, this is where nobody's allowed to read anything from the text line for the rest of the show, because it would be bad.
This is where I expect Jason to come in flying off the top ropes with something that is just totally inappropriate, and it's just not there today.
Somebody said, how do they keep it from being rusty? Rusty.
Oh, good. No,
so
733
when you put it like that.
Those tights were outlawed at school when I was younger for good reason, but are okay now. Actually, when I was at Brentwood Academy, girls would get smocked. They had this crusty old denim smock that if you wore like something like that wasn't covered appropriately, you would wear a smock. I remember that. And, there were some of my friends that wore it proudly.
Well, sure.
Yeah, fight the power.
Badge of honor.
They were all libertarians. I just didn't know it.
Well, I won $20 for to wear. I wore a pink skirt one day to school, 8th grade. Buddy of mine bet me $20 I wouldn't wear a skirt to school. I was like, all right.
Well, it's a kill if you wear it. It's fine.
$20 is $20. I'll never forget because Ms. Boyd told me in social studies. She said, young man, if you're going to dress like a lady, you're going to sit like a lady. Don't get those legs crossed. Apparently, I was man-spreading.
Yeah, that's not good.
51 after the hour. We'll finish it up in a moment on Super Talk. For some reason, the comment of the day on this subject on the Super Text line is Mario. Mario wrote in, Natasha, look at moose and squirrel. Speaking of squirrels, if you've got squirrels in your life or any other rodents or critters that you don't want a part of your family, it's time to call U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest doesn't like bugs that bug you, and they're going to take care of them with full-service pest control. I'm talking about spiders and stink bugs and ants and ladybugs and mice and silverfish and roaches and so much more. Common Tennessee Pest, 100% money-back guarantee. Now, if you're worried about fleas or ticks in your yard, they can do a yard treatment as well at U.S. Pest. And if you are already a customer at U.S. Pest and you refer a neighbor or a friend, you can receive a $50 credit on your account or a free mosquito, tick, and flea treatment on your property. What about that? Plus, they do termite protection, 100% money-back guarantee, and crawl space services available. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com to find out more about what U.S. Pest does to protect you from bugs. It is bug season in Tennessee. It is time to get protected with your home. U.S. Pest, there's two things you need to know about them. They love the United States of America, and they hate bugs. U.S. Pest, 590-1260. That's 590-1260. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 5561 says, few years back, spandex pants that said pink across their butt. In reality, it just said, look at my butt. Some good, some not. That's well said, 5561. Well said.
But seriously, y'all should listen to all the best words, and the word is bounce. It's important.
I forget what my word was, or otherwise I would promote it. I think my word for bounce was, wasn't class action. Hold on a second.
It was scrolling.
Scrolling.
It was scrolling. Thank you, Chris Weber. Somebody was listening to the show.
Bounce and scrolling.
Bounce and scrolling. That is all the best words, and you're invited to listen at your leisure on a podcast platform of your choosing. Hello, Ricky.
Hello.
Hey.
Yes.
Yes, sir, Ricky.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
TVA power plant, are they just going out there digging the hole in the ground anywhere, or are they digging a hole in the old landfill, or what?
Well, apparently they're digging the hole anywhere they want to because they're from the government and they're here to help.
That is stupid. They need to go where there was a large landfill because there is tons of free methane gas.
You know, Cameron was just telling me, Ricky, and to your point, and thank you for the call, got a scoot, that they made like $1 billion last year.
Yeah, net profits.
But they're $22 billion in debt.
Yes.
TVA.
Yes.
I mean, that's like a drop in the bucket if you compare that to the rest of the federal government.
Yeah. And it's the thing is, well, they're so well managed.
They're $22 billion in debt.
Why would you privatize? Yeah. Well, because does the government need to generate power?
We will not let this story go. We'll be there for you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Matt Murphy Show, but we've got to say goodbye right now. Thank you to Jay Harper. Thank you, Chris Weber. Thank you, Cameron.
You're welcome.
You know, Cameron is a lone, bright, shining star over at the Tennessean. Go help him out. Just give him a little thumbs up over there.
Blink if you need to be rescued.
He does. We're back tomorrow. Thursday edition starts bright and early at 3 o'clock. Until then, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.